Hello and welcome to Friday Night League, where we're taking a look at how we got all the upsets of Week 5 and some new roster shuffles up until the top of the hour, where we hop into TSM versus 100 Thieves. I know Prolly and Mark are ready for the weekend, but Raz, it's your first time here on FNL. How you doing this Friday night?
I'm doing real well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, if I'm being real, I'm so happy you're here because I know you're going to do so much better than Mark and Prolly did because they did significant damage to their predictions. I mean, looking at what they were prior to Week 5, they were as high as an 80% success rate, dipping as low as 30% when looking just at last week alone.
Yeah, I was about to say we should give them a few nicknames. Maybe off the mark or probably wrong.
I don't like this anymore.
Raz, be quiet. How about that one, huh?
Yeah, where are your predictions, Raz?
I don't need to predict nothing. I'm good.
I mean, the bottom left corner, you can see we were actually killing it this split. I don't think I've ever had an 80% prediction rate before, so I thought I was doing great. And then last weekend just tanked everything. Though I do got to say thank you, Golden Guardians, for throwing versus TL to give us a little bit of extra help.
A direct thank you to you, Raz.
Yeah, hey, all I'm saying is that we saw how your predictions are going, and we wanted to give you a softball.
Yeah, and I'm going to say that missed the mark and probably wrong. I'll be bringing those back at some point somehow. But in the meantime, we do have to look at some of these upsets because before we get into Cloud9 versus 100 Thieves, Immortals, they had an insane match against TSM.
Yeah, and this was one of the times where voting for TSM seemed normal because they had been playing so well. But someone that stood out to me was Broken Blade. He was such an important factor in spring for them. But if you can see now, he's playing Wukong. He had a great laning phase, but he kept just going into fights without his ultimate or when his team wasn't ready to follow up. So they just weren't hitting the mark at all.
I mean, the entire team was struggling too. Bjergsen mispositioned in some team fights. Their bot lane pushed up when they shouldn't have and died. I think every single person on this team struggled. And at first, I was initially willing to write it off as a bit of a trap game coming off C9. They would probably focus more on that. But then to see the roster swap come in midweek for them kind of confirms that, like, no, this is a bigger issue that they're trying to solve because they're not happy with the level of play that they have right now, probably including scrims and things like that.
And the fact of the matter is that match alone was an upset in itself for us to get excited. But looking over at Dignitas, Raz, they came off of that 2-0 week for themselves.
Yes, and honestly, completely different team than what we've been used to seeing in the beginning of the split. Because for me, my issue isn't their bottom lane. Like, without the jungle attention, we've still been seeing their duo side of, like, Aframu and Johnson being able to get consistent advantages. It's been the top side of the map, and I love the fact being able to bring in Dardoch and Lorlo, who's had that synergy through most of their career, honestly, and we've already seen how they played together in Academy, I think is a really natural step up for both those players. And what we're seeing now is a Dignitas, pre-10 minutes, getting advantages on both sides of the map, and a carry jungler in Dardoch in a meta that actually really works for him. So I think that this is a great move for Dig, and I would like to see that consistency. I hope that this is the lineup that we see from now on.
Yeah, and I gotta say, a big part of that top side doing well is from Phoenix playing Azir so well. We saw in those clips that he's team fighting well, he's also laning really well, but a mid laner that's having pressure performing is going to make this kind of like top side synergy that they had in Academy actually show. So I'm actually pretty excited to see how they are able to perform.
But in the end, there's one upset ripe on all of our minds of this split so far, and that's 100 Thieves taking down Cloud9, their first loss of the split.
And I got to say, it starts in draft for me. I loved all the little micro synergies that work together with the 100 Thieves draft. Olaf Karma works great together, but it's Karma in the bot lane to also pair with the Ashe, a super strong 2v2 to punish the Senna Wukong that also scales later into the game. And then on the top side, you have Camille Galio. That's a great combo in and of itself, but it also works well with the Olaf. So they were able to find a bunch of these synergies across lanes and junglers at different stages in the draft that all combined to make one really cohesive team comp, even finding the non-committal engage with the Ashe.
Yeah, and I think one big point for me is draft order in the sense that they got the Karma first pick, because I loved how you talked about how they all really mesh together and create a really strong direction within their composition. Karma is impossible to really know where she's going. If you're on red side, how do you draft into a pick that goes into 3 lanes, right? It's a strong mid lane option that you can pair with the Olaf. It's strong in bot side that allows now Ashe, who is a strong as hell pick, even more priority in the lane. So it gives them a really difficult to deal with mid game.
And you mentioned 100 Thieves having a good pick order. I think that's what I'm the most critical with Cloud9. Their comp, I don't care that much, but the fact that when they're going into the last 2 picks, they fourth pick their Jace. So they blind pick Jace, which is a really strong top laner, but it does open up the other team to like know what you're doing. They know you have a squishy top, and they know they can probably punish it. So this gives 100 Thieves the opportunity to run Camille Galio. What I would like to see out of Cloud9 is to, fourth pick a mid laner. Use your 2 last bans to make it really clear for Niski to blind pick. He's a great player, and leave Licorice on the counter pick, because you just can't ban out all the top lanes. If they've banned out Camille there and Malphite, there's another top laner that they can play with a Galio combination. So I really just didn't like C9's draft priority here, and that's kind of where I think they fell down a lot.
Yeah, based on what you're saying, probably 100 Thieves did have some knowledge of what exactly they were going to do going into this game based on the draft, but in the end, execution is just as important.
Yeah, and I think it starts with Someday. He was so aggressive, and I really loved his challenging of Blabber, who was kind of the engine for the side of 100 Thieves, or excuse me, C9. And, he's going to contest him in the river, and he wants to actually take this fight when they're scrapping over the honey fruit. But if you can see the mid lane just a little bit, Cassio has the inside edge on the Galio, and so they're actually going to pull this one off for a second. They don't want to go quite yet, and Jace is moving down as well, so they hesitate. But Someday doesn't give up on the play. He actually goes and runs back into the jungle now that they have the priority in the mid lane and chase him down for the kill. And at the same time, Contracts is invading on the bot side, and now they have both top and bot pushed in, and it's a really easy follow-up from the Galio to get this kill.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to just talk about the fact that being able to understand, J4 knows he's pulling the buff to the right, but probably not respecting the Galio follow-up that will come in and hurt him.
Yeah, I think he just didn't think that Someday was going to chase him. Like the tenacity to like not really take the fight in the river and then be like, but I'm going to chase you into this jungle. I think he just didn't expect it. And this team fight was, Mark called it the backbreaker, these are the fights that C9 wins. The mid game is where C9 always gets their advantages and takes over.
And I just love seeing, like, off the back of it, the aggression from Contracts. Like, he had, player of the week performance for him. And even within this game where it was a back and forth a little bit, Cloud9 were taking strong fights to come back into the game, that didn't deter Contracts at all. And was kind of bringing in his adjacent laners to constantly look for these opportunities, especially against the best team in North America. It's a nice showing from a player who has developed during Academy to bring this in.
And Raz, while we know that Contracts is already an aggressive player in the end, how much of this is drawn from what is instilled with them in the Academy experience for 100 Thieves?
It's a lot. I mean, there's individual growths from Contracts that we're able to see. You definitely see decisiveness and a little bit of leadership, being able to bring in his players in these plays. But also, just on top of it, the Academy team for 100 Thieves is so different from the main team that had Meteos and Stun. The Academy team is so aggressive. They always look for fights. They are always on the same page. It's very LPL-esque from, like, you could tell that really Kelsey Moser has had a pretty big impact on the team. And so now bringing in Contracts, bringing in Poom, you could definitely tell that this team is encouraged to be a lot more early mid-game focused, and it's really helping out a lot of the players. Like Someday is a great example of that.
Yeah, and that has instilled a lot of hope, I'm sure, for 100 Thieves fans. But when we look at the standings in general, despite the loss coming to Cloud9, they have not relinquished their hold of that #1 spot. Team Liquid, though, at 8-2, sits alone at second, with Counterlogic Gaming, FlyQuest, and Evil Geniuses tied in fourth at 5-5.
Hell yeah, TL! One game off!
I mean, it's the largest one-game gap I've ever seen. That's how I put it.
All right, well, settle down. We do have a bit of gameplay-specific discussion to get through with all this heat. So let's take a look at the patch that we're going to be playing on 10.14. There are a lot of pro-focused changes that came here, but first and foremost, we have to talk about Varus.
Yeah, I mean, he has numbers taken off of his, E, 20 flat damage off his E, and the nerf also hit his Q. The funniest thing about this was that Varus has just been, I think around a 96 to 98% presence rate in NA and in LPL. You just don't want to see the champion be given first pick towards the blue team in any of these instances. But now I'm expecting it to just be a ghost, a ghost town, really, for the pick. I don't think Red Side has to ban it, and I think the strength that it once had in lane, you'd much rather go Ashe, or you'd much rather go Aphelios. So the priority on the champion pick actually just goes straight down.
And he's clearly the focus of the nerfs, but Ezreal, Trundle, and Wukong did get hit too.
Yeah, these are kind of small ones. I mean, I don't know. I think we're going to see Ezreal and Trundle the same amount. But I think Wukong was a little bit of a flex pick. Cloud9 pulled him out as a support. I know other regions are playing it. He lost about 20% on his CC and teamfight, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it only be in the top lane from now and maybe occasionally in the jungle. But I think that's the only big change between these picks.
As far as any buffs coming through with notable things with Ghost, you also have Predator making a change. As far as things in the jungle, Mark, what are you seeing to come through?
Well, I think the Ghost change is one that probably was really interested in talking about in terms of how it interacts with Nimbus Cloak and being able to kind of abuse that. I don't know if you want to take that away, probably.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys really want to just talk about old school League of Legends, like 3 years ago in Season 7, Ghost Flash was the mid lane meta. That's what you used to run because you could play aggressive in lane, a jungle comes, you ghost away, comes again, you flash away, like you have so many options. And then also in team fights, the fight starts, you just ghost. And the duration of the movement speed you get is so much. And the reason why people stopped going this is because they removed the ghost. They removed the instant movement speed, so they brought that back. And since then, they've added this broken little rune called Nimbus Cloak. Right there, 66.1% of players take it, 88% of players with sorcery and secondary take this. So basically what this does, when you use a summoner spell, you get a little movement speed boost. So talk about Ghost, you move even faster. You flash, you move even faster. So I really like this high mobility rune choice that's starting to come out now.
So as far as anything in the jungle, Mark, what do you have to say?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple interesting changes with the jungle. Sejuani, Karthus, and Kha'Zix all getting buffed. I think Karthus is the one that interests me the most because it's something that can be played in other positions as well. It did get damage percent nerfed to monsters, but it also got damage buff and a move speed buff. So your clear speed's actually not affected terribly, and you're just a better champion overall against PvP now. So I think even if you don't see him just in the jungle, I expect we hopefully start seeing some Karthus experiments.
Well, we do have some gameplay to get into eventually. Today, we will be trying to see what TSM is bringing to the table with the new support they have in Game 1 versus the only team to take down Cloud9 Thieves. But also, for a second game, we do have Golden Glue and Huni coming in for Evil Geniuses as they face off against Team Liquid here today.
That's what I like to see, man. That's the Swole Bros back. I think it was 2018 that we got to see both Svenskeren and Golden Glue work off each other. Like, pretty amazing history that they've had, if I remember correctly. Like, back in the semifinals, reverse sweeping TSM. And also, I think they were also able to take a series off of Team Liquid during the regular season when they were, like, Team Liquid was the team to beat. And it really worked off the inbuilt synergy that Grayson, Golden Glue had with Svenskeren. Like,
I mean, yeah, the Swole Bros is a great story, Raz, but I'm way more interested in the Huni portion of the moving up because he is someone who is under so much scrutiny right now by the community. The fact that he was struggling on Dig, he got that fat contract, then he gets cut, joins EG, and Kumo had a pretty good start to the split. I do think he was slumping a little bit in recent weeks compared to the first couple, but now Huni's gone and taken his spot that like how fans are framing it. So I think a lot of them are watching him very critically. His stock in a fan opinion is basically at an all-time low, and I'm curious to see how he performs.
If we're considering how centralized around Jizuke this team has been in the past, Raz, how will this affect how the team works in general?
I mean, throughout the entire year, they've had mid lane as their win condition. That Jizuke is the playmaker and that they rally behind that. So now that you bring in Grayson, I think that Golden Glue is a great pick if you want stability in the lane. And Bang has already been a strong pick if you want stability bot side. Then that just means that their win condition has to be moving towards the top lane. Huni needs to perform. It's a great opportunity to right all the naysayers wrong since, you know, his performance on Dignitas and also his days in Academy. I'm really looking towards Huni to pick it up to have strong performances today.
Yeah, and we know Huni's going to have to face off against Cloud9 eventually, but he does have to face off against Team Liquid here, who, as we mentioned before, are solidly sitting at 8-2 in second place.
Yeah, I think the big thing to look out for is Huni playing Impact now, who's been stepping up in recent weeks, adding a little wrinkle to his game plan with the Shen pick. And it's nice to see him stepping up because he's always been a great player, and now you're starting to see that come through. The fact that he's tied for first in solo kills is probably a surprise to a lot of people. His high 4 percentage, high damage percentage, he's actually being a bigger factor for this team than people would have thought.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I think that going up against Huni too, it's like a whole old test that we saw between a carry player versus a sturdy top laner. But Impact has been more than just that sturdy top laner. It actually surprises me to see those stat lines of just consistent strength within the lane. The first tied for first in solo kills is something that I actually would never have expected with Impact. It kind of harkens back to that top die like reputation that he had back in Cloud9. So you love to see it from him.
And Impact's obviously serving a very important role on the team, but Jensen making effort to step up for what Team Liquid needs to see.
Yeah, so Jensen was not even in our top 3 in spring, but now he's really coming back to form, and he's been just performing so well for the team. He's played TF, he's played Azir, he has a plethora of champions. He's also not been getting much jungle proximity, which is pretty surprising. When they brought in Broxa, we thought, all right, this is going to be the new mid-jungle synergy, and TL's not going to be a bottom-focused team, but so far he hasn't been getting much help other than, you know, the little bard heals that Core JJ drops by, so he's performing well on his own and on an island. And if you saw in the Shin clips previously when we were talking about Impact, he was the one delivering the Shin as Azir. That's like that's some confidence move right there.
And speaking at more largely to the playstyle in general that Team Liquid has exhibited, what are your thoughts on that, Probably?
I gotta say they're boring. Like, I'm glad they're second. Good job. But do you see, like, their win time is 9th in the league. Their game time is 9th in the league. Their kills are dead last in our league. And the reason why this is such a negative kind of, I guess, connotation for a team to be boring is because these low kills, they don't translate well on the international stage. Sure, we've had teams that have these, like, slow, boring games, and they're able to perform really well domestically. But the slow domestic teams have always had poor performances at Worlds. And so this is something in North America we kind of want to push away from and have these more aggressive teams come out. But so far, no one can really wrestle with TL's slow style.
Yeah, and I think one thing to take note of, if you are slower just by nature and you have such strong players, you're giving opportunities to the other team to respond, right? You're giving them turns to be able to take the game back. And on top of that, I just love the fact that Brox has made a point of that and that he wants to be a much faster paced team. Mm-hmm. And if you're working with Jensen a lot more frequently, I know we already looked at the last stat line. Like, I just want to see Broxa and Jensen work off 2v2s if they want to speed up the pace of the game to make Team Liquid just not only a solidified second best team, a contender for the championship, just an overall, a contender for a world championship is what they're looking for, is what I would see.
The one thing I'll sneak in too is that they're second in goal lead at 10 as a team. They're actually very strong in the early game. They just need to get better about exploiting that into big advantages instead of the grind them out kind of play style they have right now.
Well, that game 2 is going to take place in a couple of hours, but for now, we're taking a short break. Don't go anywhere. More FNL soon. Welcome back, everyone, to Friday Night League. It is time to get some words from your MasterCard Player of the Week, Contracts. Now, last time we spoke, you just finished defeating Cloud9. Now you have a Player of the Week award under your belt. What does it mean to you to have this tangible proof that you were such an integral part to the 2-0 week for 100 Thieves?
Yeah, it feels pretty good. Coming into this week, I wasn't really expecting to like get Player of the Week. Honestly, I thought I was gonna have really two hard matches, and like maybe at most I would go like 1-1. But it's pretty uh pretty nice to go 2-0 versus C9 and FLICKR. Not gonna lie. I think that a lot of our hard work definitely showed on stage, and just ready to keep on improving.
So you say that you weren't expecting to go 2-0. As far as when it may have felt that that would be a reality, did that happen prior to the Cloud9 game, or was it sometime during?
I definitely don't go into like every game I didn't go straight into the C9 game thinking I was just gonna lose, but my expectations were like it's gonna be a hard game. They're the best team in the league. Like most likely we'll lose, but like I'm still gonna try my best to win, right? But yeah, it feels pretty good knowing that like we could take a game off the top team. But going back to your question, it kind of felt during the game when I got like that big lead on jungle matchup. I'm like, okay, this is kind of a reality now. I'm up like 2 levels. I'm up like 5 camps, 5 or 6 camps. It's looking pretty real. So um, definitely like after that certain point in game where I felt really strong, I definitely felt like I secured the win.
Now, so off of that, it's fair to say that you exceeded your own expectations. And I think it's also fair to say that 100 Thieves as a whole exceeded the expectations of the audience in some way, considering where everyone started at the start of summer. But for you, this came at a time when you're transitioning into the LCS alongside Poom. That's a lot for you to have to balance. So, what has this done to invigorate you and the team, knowing that you've defeated Cloud9 and that you're coming through with such a strong start after this transitional period?
Yeah, it definitely gives us a good boost of confidence going to this week's of practice. I think we're kind of still taking it game by game. We're not going to get too complacent over the C9 win. We're definitely like we realize we're a strong team and we have good fundamentals, but we're gonna we're gonna keep pushing forward and kind of work on these kind of basic strategies that we need to improve on. Um, Definitely a good start though for sure.
Do you feel the fact that you and Poom came in together at the same time from Academy has helped at all within this transition?
Yeah, definitely getting some weeks of practice with Poom definitely helped the transition to LCS. Like, if we just went in, like, I mean, it would be weird. We wouldn't really be in a situation where we went in without practice, but it definitely does help for sure. Just being able to get on the same page since we had practice prior.
This match for you, it's TSM with a new support for them to boot. What are your expectations going into this match?
Um, we're expecting another strong start for us for sure. Um, Definitely gonna respect our opponent and just try to do our best to win.
Well, I will let you get to doing your best to win just now, so enjoy this match with your team.
Oh, thank you so much.
With that, I'm going to go head back over to the desk, everybody, to get us ready for this match. Contracts taking it day by day, hoping for another victory here in game number 1, because let's face it, it's hard not to be excited about this team given not just their victory against Cloud9, but the nominal improvements they've made as players.
Yeah, I said it earlier, talking about how much Contracts has brought in, getting Player of the Week so quickly too. Not only did he develop personally as a player, but you could tell that bringing in Poom, developing the team to be a lot more aggressive, be a lot more confident in looks that they look for as a team. Because I talked about how, I guess in the early portions of the split, I guess as a whole throughout the year, the 100 Thieves main team was far more passive. They would look for later game scaling compositions, and a lot of the times would put Someday on a tank and play away from the lane. But in the last 4 games, this is what I like to see. Poom and Contracts support in jungle usually changes the mentality that you have as a team and as a comp. And a lot of the times now you're just seeing them play towards topside a little bit more. Now Someday is able to flourish, play a lot more early and mid game. So the team feels like they're a lot more encouraged to make plays on the map. So this is a good change for the team, and it's a big change. It's something that we'll have to see in terms of like where they would leave on the standings, because going up against TSM, this matchup I think is a lot more closer than people would expect.
When we're looking at other players that have been making such improvement, Prolly, have you seen a difference in what Ryoma has brought to the table?
Yeah, I think other than Contracts and Poom coming in, I think Ryoma coming back into form is really good. These are clips from his first match against TSM where he's just getting smashed 1v1 against Bjergsen, and this is not a matchup that should be this, poorly played, but he just kept dying over and over again, and you fast forward to now, he's actually back into playing these kind of star carries where he's playing the Azir against TSM and he's actually making these plays and keeping 100 Thieves into the game. And this is a player that at first we thought, he's going to probably just be, one of the staple mid laners that just kind of helps his team. But yeah, he's actually taking the reins and has a more variety in his champion picks where he's able to play these Galio picks. He's able to play the Azir, so he's a bit more fluid and a lot more successful than he used to be.
Well, with all the changes that 100 Thieves have been showing in their performance and the disappointing week 5 for TSM, it's no surprise that they've brought in some roster moves of their own, but doing so breaks up one of North America's favorite bot lanes.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those relationships that ended on its own, but it was already probably past its prime to begin with. They broke up. Doublelift gets let go from TSM, moved to TL, and you bring it back together. You think it's going to be great. You're thinking of all the high times that you had together, and it just doesn't reach that peak because you were already past it when you broke up the first time, and you get back together and you're like, nah, we shouldn't have done this. And that's why I think, the Treats move is one that excites me. As great as Doublelift and Bio have been, they are not the same bot lane that they were in 2016 summer. It's 4 years later and time has passed.
You got to look towards the future, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like a key to a strong and lasting relationship is future planning. And so for me, looking at all of the issues that TSM has had in terms of just giving consistent, proper direction on the team, I think Treats solves that. For anybody that watches TSM Academy play for the last few splits, Treats is the type of player that plays and calls for attention towards the bot side of the map. He has an idea how it should consistently be played out. And so it's nice to see him playing, I guess, with a team on stage, or at least like theoretically, because of how often we see him. That one split where he was literally in Vancouver, so he saw
the cardboard cutout, the return.
So you saw cardboard cutout Treats, but now you see him in the flesh. He's back with the team. And so, like, going back to the point that we made, he's going up against 100 Thieves, where that team has now changed their face because of new players coming in from Academy. I think is very similar here with TSM. They brought in Spica, who was working with Treats last split in Academy, and now Treats is coming in and working with Doublelift. There's no reason for this team to not go towards the bottom side of the map. I think we're going to be seeing a bot side centric TSM. I think it helps them a lot.
Yeah, and with TSM right now, I just want to see a direction. Like you're mentioning, he's going to help find them one. Like, just pick one. Once they get in the mid game, like, I don't know, they're helping Broken Blade sometimes. They're like throwing the map away for some weird resets. Like, just tell me what you're going to do in the game. Like, play mid game out some way. And I hope Treats fills that. I don't know if it's a lane thing, but I just hope, please, just get your mid and late game macro, like, together.
TSM's looking for someone to lead them through game 1, but let's send it to the 2 people that will lead us through the game, and that's Pastry and Crumbs.
Hello and welcome everybody to week 6 of the LCS. It's Friday night. That means it's time for some League of Legends. My name is Julian Pastry Time Card. Joining me from Academy, he's been on a marathon this week, ladies and gentlemen. It's Alberto Crumbs Rangife. How you doing, man?
I am so excited for this match, Pastry. That's right, we've been casting Academy, and it's a great time to have been casting Academy or watching because so many players are now coming into the LCS, so we get to have a little bit of inside knowledge on how these players will perform today.
And of course, to kick things off, it is TSM versus 100 Thieves. We've already seen the Contracts Poon-powered 100 Thieves have a very good-looking 2-0 week last week in Week 5. And now TSM are bringing another Academy player into the fold, Treats. A very big story replacing Biofrost, at least for this game, quite possibly this weekend. But this is a player that if you have been watching Academy, your eyes are on Treats. He is in the conversation for the best player in Academy. He might not be there yet, but when he was playing there, he was incredibly good. So now he's got to step up alongside Doublelift. I'm not going to say his job's easy, but he certainly has a big opportunity to impress here.
Absolutely. He's super hyped to be here. And if you were watching streams yesterday or the day before, you might have actually tuned in to Doublelift's stream and check out what Treats was doing alongside him. A lot of good shot calling, right? That's what you want from your support, being able to have the commanding voice that is decisive in what your team wants to do. And another thing that he has that Biofrost has not brought to the team this split is that he plays Thresh. He's got 2 games of Thresh this split so far. There were wins, they were very good, and it's a really strong blind support that you can pop out right now, and it doesn't really give much away for your composition.
Yeah, I think if you needed like the one-sentence description of Treats, if you're new to watching him play, he's vocal and he's very aggressive. Those are the 2 things that I think he brings to the table. So let's see what happens here in drafts. Karma, Ezreal, Kalista, Volibear, or Twisted Fate have all been taken away. I know we're both happy to see Twisted Fate on the bench. She's an extremely powerful champion that you cannot afford to give away, but that does leave open Graves here for Speaker.
I am really happy to see Spica take up the Graves. Last week, he got put on Volibear and Trundle duty. Really did not look that good on those. And with this strong pick, the rest of the composition should revolve around him, and it'll give him an opportunity to really shine against Olaf. It can be a snowbally matchup. You give the advantage to the Graves, but so much of it is now going to come down to the lanes. Which lanes will have early priority and facilitate their junglers to either counter gank, counter jungle, or just rush those early Drakes.
Yeah, I feel like we don't see like aggressive versus aggressive jungle all that often, so kind of cool to see these 2 former Academy players, now both in the LCS, both known for their aggressive tendencies, to be playing against each other here in a very aggressive jungle matchup. Ashe was the AD of choice for 100 Thieves. That seems to be the highest priority after Varus has dropped down. Reminder, we are on patch 10.14, so a number of champions, Varus included, did get hit with the nerf bat. Aphelios, though, haven't been seen as much recently, but Doublelift is never one to shy away from a champion he has a lot of experience on.
And you know who hasn't been seen a lot recently, but for some reason people have forgotten about him, has been the Olaf. The first few weeks, C9 was just smoking people with Olaf. Blabber was crushing everybody. A few people tried to pick it up. It really didn't go anywhere, and suddenly it was forgotten, and it took Contracts to come back into the LCS to show us how strong this pick can still be. There were no nerfs to him thus far, even though a lot of people have been crying out to nerf this champion, and he can snowball out of control. Contracts already has 2 wins under his belt under this pick, and I think that from what we saw last week out of him, he's really focused on that power farming, and if he has the opportunity to have these strong lanes like the Syndra, and with this last pick for someday, he will go for an opportunity to just invade the Graves and take him out. But this is going to be an Ignite Graves, though, so it might be a little bit trickier.
Yeah, we'll see how that shakes out, but this mid lane matchup is ultra spicy, Crumbs. This is one of the coolest things you see. You see this often in like a best of series, but obviously we play best of 1 in the regular season for the LCS. But this is the reverse matchup of the last time these 2 players played. It was Ryoma on the LeBlanc trying to upset Bjergsen Syndra, and this time Bjergsen has taken the LeBlanc, and Ryoma's thrown the gauntlet down and said, okay, I can beat you with Syndra as well, which is quite the claim against one of the more accomplished Syndra players in the league, but we'll talk about that later as some more bans are coming through in Phase 2. Malphite and Braum are the 2 selections. It's almost a meme at this point, but it is always fun to see Treats lose Braum. It's one of his most played champions, especially in Spring in Academy, and there's Nautilus banned as well. So a couple target bans there against the new TSM support.
I want to also touch on the Malphite ban, because we thought that was a little bit of a meme with Alorim from Immortals playing it and saying, okay, you're just playing the Malphite or Rihanna comp, how good is it really? But today specifically, we saw Malphite in the LEC, we saw him in Academy Rush, and he's just taken the world by storm, it seems. He's not that bad in laning phase, and against these immobile champions like Aphelios, he is an absolute nightmare to deal with. So I like the pick actually getting banned, because TSM recognizes Aphelios needs to be protected. If we can't keep him alive, we're not winning this game.
All right, well, Thresh was banned, so another Enchanter here for Poom, I'm assuming. Didn't have access to Karma, that was banned by TSM. So Lulu instead here is pick number 4, which is kind of cool to see. But TSM now with 10 seconds to round up pick 4. Then, of course, they'll finish off their draft here on the blue side.
This is going to be a really tricky spot for Broken Blade because he's going to have to blind, knowing that he's going to be up against a strong jungler pick and then a Lulu to potentially enhance whatever Someday wants to play as a counter pick. So Broken Blade has not looked that good last week. He did only found 1 kill. The Wukong and the Mordekaiser left a lot to be desired. He might pick up something new here or just go back to those same champions, but those two can really get abused right now. And if he has busted out something new like the Jace, I think Someday is going to be the player that can definitely abuse it. We saw the Camille into Licorice last week, which actually got an advantage in the lane that was taken all the way to the Nexus for 100 Thieves. So I wouldn't be surprised if Someday takes it again right here.
Yeah, pretty explosive 1v1 between those two. It was a very fun matchup to watch. But Jace, I guess, looks safe enough as far as blind picks go. Like you kind of alluded to, Crumbs, there aren't that many things you can do safely here as a top laner, but it is Wukong for Someday. He's going to go all the way down and decide that, you know what, I'm going to pick a little bit more for the team. Probably willing to take a loss in the early game, willing to take probably a weak side in the top lane as well, which has not really been the Someday story recently, but Wukong's certainly a champion that, to me, says I'm focusing more on team play rather than individual lane.
He'll have a strong opportunity to set up ganks with Contract at level 6, even earlier if Broken Blade gets a little bit aggressive and starts trying to trade against the Monkey. But this is 10-14. He did take some nerfs to the duration of the knockup, just a 0.15 seconds on each of those. You got 2 knockups, going to be a little bit less, but I think that both these teams are going to be quite happy with what they have drafted, and it's always going to come down to execution these days, and the execution revolves around those Dragon team fights. The objective game is real. One team's got that Olaf that lets you power farm, the other one's got Ignite Graves. So Spica looking for blood, Olaf looking for minions.
It's also fun because, again, we've been talking about, you know, Academy players making their way into the LCS. Speaker contracts actually have played each other quite a number of times in Academy because they've been there for a while before moving up recently this split. So going to be fun to watch them play against each other. Mid lane also I have my eyes on because I love a good run back in the 1v1 mid lane, and it's always fun to see the reverse matchup. But Ryoma has been playing very well recently, but has a very tall task, despite TSM being a little inconsistent recently and certainly dropping games unexpectedly, Immortals being the biggest loss of their week last week. Bjergsen is an absolute menace. He's been playing so well individually, and this is the kind of champion where he can take over on. So quite a lot of volatility, I would say, in this draft, especially in the top side of the map. I mean, just look at how aggressive those 3 champions are for TSM.
Oh, yeah. And I also want to point out something that Contracts did. We saw it yesterday, and we ran over a little bit in Academy, but the Olaf starting without the jungle item is so that he can either clear a ward or be spotted without giving away where he's going to start. Because usually, if you start Talisman, you're starting red side. If you start Machete, you're going to start on blue buff. So this, to me, tells me Contracts looking to start blue side, going to pass to the top side of the map to help out Broken Someday at the end of the day, and it's just going to set him up to do a full clear, hit that top Scuttle Crab base, and then go for that power farming to the Dragon. Everybody's just doing the power farm Blabber route, and why not? He really showed us how powerful it can be.
Yeah, 600 Drake's pretty good. First one's going to be an Ocean for this game, but already action on the top side. Broken Blade is slapping Someday with the Jace Q, and then off into range form he goes for even more Qs, as Someday is already lost almost all his health.
He really wants to take as much of this trade early as possible to take advantage of that D-shield, but Broken Blade's going to try to commit. He's got minion aggro on him. He can't kill him here, so I actually think that Someday isn't feeling too bad about this, but the biscuits will come in clutch to keep both of these guys chopped off.
Yeah, going to have to eat right away, as Broken Blade has pretty good early control of this wave. Someday going to be forced to play back here, and both junglers did start on the bottom half of the map as well. You mentioned Contracts pathing as Broken Blade hits level 2. Acceleration Gate Q not going to hit onto Someday, but as we mentioned, Speaker with the Ignite is coming towards the top lane, so could come to a head very quickly there as Bjergsen going to get knocked back there by Ryoma, but does proc that Electrocute.
Look at how it sets up the lane with what Someday is doing, because now the wave gets to crash onto him. The Jace doesn't get to harass him every single time. He gets to heal up, knowing that his jungler also gets to path to the top side of the map. Here, Spica is going to try to take advantage of that Ignite. The Sweeper is just barely going to miss out Contracts. he might still have an opportunity since Jace can collapse and take him out. Oh,
Yep.
yeah, Contracts is in trouble.
Ignite gonna force the flash, and now Contracts just instantly flashes out of the way. Knows he has to respect the power of that Graves. But someday maybe gonna feel a little uneasy here. Speaker's gonna finish off these Krugs. I mean, it's like, would be the most obvious dive in the world. Broken Blade isn't in lane right now, though. He's actually back already for a Doran's Blade, and is going to walk back to lane as Sunday collects creeps under his tower. So the threat of diving this Wukong is no longer there, but Speaker already with a good bit of early pressure in 100 Thieves jungle.
Broken Blade sees the opportunity for the quick reset. He's going to just stack up those blades, and this was an opportunity for Speaker to potentially double crab the Olaf, but Contrast goes straight down to make sure that he gets that for himself, and now Speaker will get to just continue to go and farm. Now, this is where the Olaf is just going to continue to go back into the jungle. He's not going to be two-faced by not having that flash, since he knows that Graves is unlikely to find him again for quite some time. So maybe there's a dive opportunity here, but this just looks like a defense. Going for this right now would be way too dangerous.
Yeah, Wave's thinning out pretty quickly. Treats and double lifts. Looks like they'll be just fine. They are a little bit behind in farm, but don't think they're too unhappy. Again, seeing Poom on this Enchanters get pretty aggressive in the 2v2. Feels like they have a natural advantage with 2 range anyway, so I think double lift and treats are just fine with how this lane is going, and it doesn't seem like there'll be any action without jungle interference. So we'll keep an eye on the CS there in the bottom lane, but for now, Cody and Poom can be happy with how their early game is going, but double lift I don't think is complaining either.
Not at all, and he gets to use the Ashe gets to use the Hawkshot to actually see what's going on the map. So they actually were able to know that because Contracts goes down, messes with the Krugs, and then the Hawkshot also finds where Graves' camps are going to be spawning. They know that the Graves is going to be in the top side of the map, so that's why Someday can crash this wave, take that pretty bad looking trade, and instantly recall, knowing that, hey, if I stick around here, I'm going to be in some trouble. Now he just gets to use TP, and this is an opportunity for TSM to potentially go for an early Drake, since they have that teleport advantage in the top lane. But with Spica up here, Olaf can easily path down and just try to sneak that one real quick.
Yeah, getting close to the minute mark where Olaf can potentially take that, although he's going to run into Speaker right now. Ryoma's roaming up, and Contract's already pretty low. Speaker, they're going to have to get out of there. Has the blast cone ready, but does wait to use it. Now over the wall to the Krugs he goes, but he's in a 1v3 right now. Speaker running towards the tower, going to have to try and get the kill instead, but thumbs up. Can't quite get it on the Contract. That's a great stun from Ryoma, and first blood goes over to the Wukong.
Wow, so 100 Thieves actually did a really good job in timing that Ignite as well. Look at it just barely coming up on Speaker right now. Had he had that, he would have had a lot more confidence in that trade, but that's the trade-off that happens when you're playing this Graves. If you don't have that Summoner, you're going to be in a world of trouble, and he's just going in thinking that he's got a lot of support, but if you look at the lanes, it is a terrible time to be fighting. LeBlanc just made it back to the lane. Syndra had just TP'd, so because LeBlanc was saving hers, they were going to have a small window where Ryoma would have priority, and that is what really sealed the deal for Spica. The kill going over to Someday. 100 Thieves knows who their main carry is, so Someday getting the goal, I think, is a lot more valuable and will just go the extra mile as if you gave it to Contracts or Ryoma instead. Yep,
offsets any disadvantage as well in that lane. In fact, I would guess he's ahead because the CS difference is so small. Bjergsen looking here in mid, though, is going to threaten onto Ryoma. They both have their ultimates, but Contracts is busy doing the crab on the left-hand side of your screen, so Ryoma is going to make sure he can move in for coverage if needed. Syndra, despite those Q mana nerfs, still very good at pushing the lanes, especially as she levels up. Treats, though, hiding in the shrubbery, looking for Poom. He's going to find it, double it for the Gravitum. No Ignite here, but they're going to keep going. Exhaust is down. Poom looks dead here, and indeed he is, as double lift going to take him out with Treats by his side. As Cody's son also going to suffer the same fate, not today.
Ooh, that is exactly what TSM needed right now. Finding something in the bottom lane just on their own, right? Then nobody else to help them out. This can actually turn into even more as we get to roam down here. Contracts is sick, but he's just going to slow things down. Now, 100 Thieves can actually use this reset that the bottom lane of TSM is going for to potentially go for a dragon here. So they might end up winning the objective game after handing off this blue buff. So I think that 100 Thieves can get something out of this, but this is a great start for the substituting support of TSM.
Yeah, Treats, so far so good. Getting a 2v2 kill always feels nice. Ryoma, as you mentioned, though, with the blue buff is just going to kill these minions nice and easily. Bjerg is currently up in CS. That's actually a pretty decent lead, about a wave and a half or so right now. But again, TSM did pick fairly aggressive solo lanes. You can see that Broken Blade is continuing to build his advantage, despite Someday getting that kill gold. He's up just over 20 CS as Someday finishes off the rest of these. He's going to be a little under that, as Someday does at least trade aggressively, but he seems to understand the threats here in this matchup. It looked like we've had some close calls, but Someday has been pushing this 1v1 to the limit pretty happily here. So FLICKR is just going to take the top and mid lane control that his solo laners have and convert it into this early Rift Herald instead.
And that kill is keeping Someday even in gold. We'll have to see from the observers that we know exactly where Someday stands in this. And a big thing that has happened in the past few weeks is that these top laners, a lot of them have been trying to expand their pools into carry champions, whether that is Kayle, Jace, Camille. The thing is, the initial bar was, okay, we want to see you get ahead in CS, especially the Jace. We want to see you get some plays. We want to see you just win from your laning phase. But clearly, the bar is much higher than that. You actually need to be able to transition into snowballing that advantage, into team fighting well. And I think that the only Jace player in NA that has truly shown us what a Jace is capable of has been Someday. I think that all the other Jaces have somewhat been lackluster or against opponents that are having a really hard time, so it's easy for you to deliver your Jace advantage into the team fights. Someday has been that only player, and today Broken Blade has an opportunity to show us that he can actually team fight with Jace, but there is a lot of threats on this team that can easily punish him the second he goes in, so I need to see him have a great game because last week were two very rough ones.
Yeah, Broken Blade's certainly not a player that shies away from the aggressive champions. He loves himself a good carry top laner. So we'll see if he can indeed perform on the Jace. Contracts though clearing up vision around the Dragon. There is a 3v3 brewing here. They know Speaker's here thanks to Cody Sun's Hawk Shot. And with both mid laners roaming down as well, there could be a scuffle for this first Ocean Joke Crumbs. It's 10 minutes in, we've got Graves versus Olaf, and no one's taking this Dragon. I think they're a little bit sick of leaving this objective up.
Exactly. They don't want to stall out the soul win conditions any longer, but there's just such a large threat of, am I going to get collapsed on and lose right now? Because these teams are still trying to figure out where their strengths are. 100 Thieves is relatively new here. This iteration only has 4 games played, and TSM, well, this is their first one with Treats in the first place, and they actually are still struggling. The only teams they've beaten were actually some of the weaker teams in the beginning of the split, or when they were at their weakest, before Immortals even swapped the roster. So I think that TSM is just trying to take things as slow as possible, but it might not be in their best interest. Although we have seen what happens when you stall out against Aphelios. He's kind of like a soul win condition anyway, so you don't really care. You got the Aphelios. We've seen that game against Immortals where he just defends in the base, pretty much 1v4 and still wins.
Yeah, that was quite the experience. But I mentioned that, you know, I'm surprised how late this Drake has gone. Shout out to our stats team for letting me know that this will actually be the latest first Drake of the split. Whenever it dies, it's the latest one to go down. So it certainly was expecting a little bit more of a snowball. Instead, Speaker is just going to take the Rift Herald up here to top lane and try and get Broken Blade a bit more of a lead. But there it is, 11 minutes, 27 seconds. Mark it down, Crumbs. The latest first dragon of the split has now been slain, but top lane there are issues. TP in as well from 100 Thieves. I believe that's Ryoma coming in to try and defend his friend. And that will be enough actually to stop the tower from going down and to defend from the dive as Bjerg roamed up. The TSM do at least get the plate gold for Broken Blade, which I think is mostly what they wanted.
It is. Yet you actually lose the dragon, but you're not too worried about it since it was so late in the first place. And they couldn't commit for more because they were all so low mana. Speaker had run same thing with Broken Blade, so it was only Bjergsen who had an opportunity to go for that. And as in lone LeBlanc that's not packing Ignite against a Wukong that still has ultimate, you're probably just going to get stunned under the turret. So it's nothing to fuss about. And thus far, I think that this game is just still to have anything to indicate us where these teams are going, because it has been so slow for the champions that we had expected to see be really action-packed in the early game, especially these kinds of Graves or Olafs.
Yeah, I definitely did not expect this slow of a game with Ignite Graves and friends hanging out. But Ryoma, Poom, and now Contracts are going to group around the mid lane here and just get things pushing in the right direction, but no one seemingly wants to overextend here.
Let's see. Now, this is an opportunity to maybe dive Cody. You still have a TP from mid and top. They just use their other ones to try to defend for Someday. So TSM has multiple instances where they had TP advantages. They're just not pulling the trigger on many of them. Happy to farm.
Yeah, I mean, Bjerg TP'd back to lane by the looks of things. Maybe to get some presence back around here if they do want to look for that dive bottom lane you mentioned. Also, top lane, Contracts is hanging out just short of vision. Broken Blade going to queue in. Contracts thinking about maybe going for it, but decides it's not really worth just going straight for the dive. Turret plating's going to wear off anyway. So it does seem like players will just go back, spend some money, maybe pick up their first items. We see Infinity Edge already done for Doublelift, Blood of the Ruined King already done for Cody. And I imagine both Syndra and LeBlanc are fairly close to their first items as well.
It's interesting to see that TSM had 4 in the bottom quadrant of 100 Thieves' jungle, and they only went for the blue buff. They didn't really bother in trying to deny the 100 Thieves bot lane. I think that's an opportunity that some teams around the world would easily see as, hey, let's try to dive them. Like, how quickly can we dive them or just harass them into the turret and see what we can come up with? You've got the Leona with Aphelios that did so much damage as we saw already. Yes, there's a wild growth and heal now, but when you also have a Graves that can assist you from afar with his ultimate and even a end of the line if he moves up close, and even the LeBlanc too, I think that it's a window that TSM could take, but one that obviously comes with risk. And it's one that a lot of teams are trying to mitigate by just decreasing the amount of plays that they take that have that high risk factor. It's the whole, oh, you only take the 80% plays because we know that they're going to most likely go in our favor and then we don't get to mess up, instead of seeing an opportunity to practice these situations. But then again, it's not the spring split. I think that's a kind of spring split play that you make, not summer when so much more is on the line.
Doublelift, though, getting enough alone time on that tower. I mean, Cody just didn't feel like walking up. I think in a 1v2 is the reason why Poom was roaming mid to make sure his team could get the Rift Herald, but that first tower just goes over to Aphelios. That is a lot of extra gold just given to Doublelift. So 2,000 gold ahead for TSM with that first tower gold plus the farm they've got. Now a dive mid lane. Ryoma going to be forced to flash away. Nicely placed Solar Flare there for Treats.
Nice and easy. Just show up in the mid lane, pop an ultimate, and now they can revisit this lane once again. It's going to be so easy to pick on this Syndra. Now, if she goes into the side lanes at this stage, she's also going to have to concede a lot of pressure from missing that summoner, so she'll probably just stay in the mid lane for now and have the Ashe roam around. And she's also going to be in a dangerous position. TSM has to reset now, so they're not going to be able to punish this lane assignment. But moving forward, you bet your bottom dollar that TSM is going to continue to look for Ryoma. He is sitting fodder, is not running Merc Red, so he can just be easily capped by Leona or LeBlanc and instantly deleted.
Well, Broken Blade's going to go up and collect a little bit of extra gold here as he takes down the Rift Herald, but 100 Thieves did manage to trade the towers at the end of the day, so now the gold lead that was 2,000 a mere moment ago after Doublelift got that first tower is only about 600 gold between the two teams. So still very close as we gear up for the next Drake in 10 seconds.
100 Thieves is here. They're clearing out vision. Well, TSM is going to have priority on the bottom lane right now. You've got the Aphelios pushing out, so he's going to be able to join up from the bot side. And with LeBlanc in the mid lane, I think this gives TSM a stronger position to take a fight right now. You already have Broken Blade here too. Contracts can't be greedy starting this right now, and it's a beautiful shock blast on Poom to start things off. I like this position from TSM, and there's no deep wards for Someday to TP on and find the flank.
Yeah, actually just going to give up the Drake completely. So they'll trade the first two. It is going to be Mountain Rift today. That will be the soul of this game.
We got a long game ahead of us, Pastry. This is going to take quite some time. Better strap in.
Again, not the speed we expected, but both teams happy to play deliberately here.
Especially when we've seen Poom and Contracts in 100 Thieves Academy be so focused on the early game. Like, even last split, the Contracts Soligo show, so much of it revolved around trying to snowball it from the early, transition those mid 2v2 leads into early objective takes, and then win a game hopefully after that. And this has been a game that is completely different to that. And we haven't really seen what 100 Thieves can do from this position, so this is new territory for this squad. And so far, they're doing fairly well. This gold lead is not something to fuss about, but it certainly gives TSM an opportunity to do something that we haven't seen from them in quite some time, which is take a win.
Yeah, I mean, Bjergsen's split pushing top lane is actually going to have TP up relatively soon. Sunday's trying to trade, so the map's kind of getting split at this point as Bjergsen does finish off that tower there in top lane. I imagine Sunday, yes, absolutely, will be able to finish off this tower. He already actually has Trinity Force finished, so this is a fairly powerful Wukong, especially with contracts near him. And I was envisioning the dragon fight, you know, Poom ulting up the Wukong as he spins in, giving him a little bit of extra knock-up duration and health. The Ardent Sense is now finished for this Lulu as well, so Poom's going to be able to augment anyone on his team, really. Contracts springs to mind as a champion you would love to just shield an ulti in. But teams are just trading objectives, trying to keep the game close comes. It does feel like neither team wants to make a big oopsie.
Yeah, and that's usually not the winning mindset. Not trying to make a oopsie. You always want to try to win, but they also have slowed the game significantly with how slow the Dragons have been taken. So it's hard to find these opportunities to take these fights once so much has already happened, where these turrets have been taken. Now they're going to try to go on Broken Blade.
Ooh, that arrow!
It's
I like the attempt, but Sunday spins on Broken Blade, but Broken Blade does not get stunned, so no kill forthcoming. Contracts, so beelining to mid lane right now.
Do you know that Wukong was actually Garen before he evolved?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
There you go. Learn something new every day.
Just a fun fact. Some League of Legends lore for you.
Not well versed in my League of Legends lore. I did watch that sweet animation earlier. I have no idea what's happening, but it was cool.
Oh, the anime Yoni. Yon.
Yes.
That's the name of the new character, and contracts might be getting...
Oh no! Ragnarok out, Wild Growth out, burn all the ultis, get out of there! He's fine for now, but Bjergsen with the follow-up, looking for Poom, does not latch the chain. Ryoma does follow the stun, but the mid-tower is kind of the big issue here. TSM just going to whack that one down as the demolish there from Treats. Procs to give him credit for the kill.
Without Ashe or Syndra there ready to defend, they have terrible wave clear. It really is only Axis. Now, Wukong doesn't have an ultimate to keep Broken Blade in place, so I think that you can just walk him out and walk away.
Yep. Broken Blade just thundering blows back. Hawkshot is going to find him, but Broken Blade's gone back anyway. Puts up the white flag as he gets revealed. That's a great emote.
If you use an emote and nobody is there to see it, or if the enemy is not there to see it, did it even happen? They didn't see the white flag. He doesn't understand that Broken Blade is surrendering to them.
Well, we shall see. I'm excited for whatever the next bit of action is going to be. Again, it's been a surprisingly slow game between these two teams, but TSM holding strong, about 1,500 gold ahead. Neither team is going to quickly snowball this Soul Dragon either, so there's a race to see who can be the first to 2 Drakes, as we split the first 2, but 100 Thieves already setting up around the area. 55 seconds till the Dragon is spawning. Bjergsen is also committed to side laning here with this TP, which makes sense. So Ryoma is forced to match him. Does have a TP of his own, but LeBlanc just so much more mobility in setting up for this objective.
We need to watch the lane states to figure out who's going to have the advantage before the fight sets up. And thus far, 100 Thieves have been able to crash in bot lane. They are moving in mid, and with Someday committing here, this is the arrow that they need. Oh,
it's Speaker, yeah, despite the Q, and there's the Wild Growth as well. Contracts in there! Ragnarok's him down. As Treat's also in there, but great double knock up there for Someday. Broken Blade, though, looking to try and find the sniper. He isn't going to get contracts yet. The shield is good, but Broken Blade, he's able to get the kill on the other end of it. So now a 4v4 with Broken Blade's poke raining down on 100 Thieves.
That was a really weird smash from Jace, because I thought he was going to eat the Wukong into the team, but he dashed at the same time and actually found his way, joined with the team again. So it could have been a kill. Ooh, almost Broken Blade goes down as well. So it's just a 1-for-1 trade.
It looks like they lost vision there. Syndra's Darksphere does not give you vision for very long, and Ryoma didn't have ulti. So Broken Blade a little lucky to get away with that one, but he does. TP in now from Bjergsen, who's going to have to instantly dash away, but he's okay. Broken Blade also rejoining. So TSM with a very quick port back to this Dragon, clearly wanting to play for this second Drake.
Broken Blade has been pretty good with these accelerated shock blasts to deter 100 Thieves, and they're going to be rewarded with this Dragon. They're doing really well at this rate, being able to secure these Dragons and deter the fight despite 100 Thieves engaging on it, but they have to commit so much to go on Graves. We're going to take a look at this once again now. TSM doesn't have any vision until Spica places this control ward, because 100 Thieves is coming in through their own control wards, but Someday has to use his W to get in range, and then he gets to knock out. So he doesn't have an opportunity to use the W once again to have that double knockup with the 2 clones, which is something that you really want to have with the Wukong. Broken Blade unfortunately misses that Shock Blast, but it doesn't matter. Bjergsen was there to save the day, and with the double TP, they can ensure that Dragon.
Yep, had enough bodies to throw into the team fight to make sure they get the trade and the Dragon subsequently, as you mentioned. We are getting close to the 2-item mark, actually in a lot of areas. Someday is working on his Death Dance, isn't there just yet. Ryoma also working on a Death Cap, so going for a very aggressive second item here, where Bjergsen has already finished the bit more cost-efficient Banshee's Veil.
That Death Cap is going to get a lot of value. There is not a lot of magic resist on this side of TSM. It really is only Bjergsen and Treat, so you still have plenty of targets that are going to be able to just get deleted from a Syndra combo, which is exactly what you want. You're going to be able to find the Jace, maybe the Graves, and even the Aphelios if you're lucky. So Ryoma has his work cut out for him. We just don't want to see him use that ultimate on somebody like Leona or LeBlanc, knowing that you're not going to kill him and just get a shot.
Ooh, a red double miss on the chain there for Bjergsen. But Someday's going to be forced to spin anyways. The poke is still good. The arrow does not connect it onto Treats, and 100 Thieves are here, but they don't really have any cooldowns left to play with.
Syndra wasn't there either, so they're just going to have to concede this, and it's going to give TSM another second turret, so this is pretty good for them. There's nobody there to catch that wave for 100 Thieves just yet, so they have to base, find their way down here, and it just frees up the rest of TSM to reset and have more time to set up around the next objective. You could be threatening a Baron right now if you wanted as TSM, but from the pace of this game, we're probably just going to be waiting for that other Dragon.
Yeah, TSM feeling very comfy at this point though. Phantom Dancer done now for double lift. Broken Blood's working on his 3rd item as well. Looks like another lethality item is in the works. And Bjerg also on the way. He's looking for contracts here with the chain, but doesn't connect with that one either. Level 15 though for this LeBlanc as Broken Blade dives in, Ragnarok forced out. And Contract's just going to have to burn the ulti and run away.
He's really squishy. Usually when you see the Olafs go into a Graves or a more damage-focused matchup, they'll be rushing that Cinder Hulk to try to have a little bit more HP and survive. You have a lot of damage with the rest of your lineup, but here it just shows you how vulnerable he is to just getting jumped or pretty much one-shot by whether it's the Jace or the Graves jumping on him. He needs the Lulu there with him.
Oh, goodbye, Cody.
Lulu, no.
Double lift didn't even ulti. That was just, I think, an Infernum Q and very nicely placed Shock Blast there for Broken Blade. But blowing up Cody means that Baron is now a very real threat. 4v5 for 25 seconds longer.
Contracts does not even have Flash to try to steal this. Bjergsen is playing bodyguard here to keep him away if he even thought about it, and it's just that easy. A single pick on a really important member for 100 Thieves just means a free objective for TSM. They can easily push this Baron into a tier 2, into another Dragon, and then just start sealing the deal on this game. They are looking like they are just slow, steady, but at least winning.
Yeah, maybe not what you expect with these champions, but still making them very effective nonetheless. As I think the mid-outer tower was too good of a piece of bait there for poor Cody. 100 Thieves still trying to knock that one down. It's giving all this room, especially. Look at the side lane LeBlanc go. Level 16 now. TP about to come back off cooldown. Baron Buff's going to make this split push awfully simple. And Someday also getting collapsed on, so his side lane pressure is going to have to stop as well. Oh, Contracts. Ooh.
Wants to play here. They don't have the Syndra. They have a TP, but she's busy with LeBlanc. Maybe they're hunting for double lift, but this is going to be really hard to pull off from them. TSM is so strong. They know they just need to stay grouped and prevent any shenanigans from hitting their bot lane.
Here's Someday, there's Cody, there's the TP, there's Contracts, there's Puma, found the more crumbs! As the Ragnarok's in, the Wildcrow's going to get the knock up there, and Double is getting low and is finally going to be felled by the Olaf, but Broken Blade is down, the Thief still fighting, Someday able to take out Speaker as well, Plume low but not out as Broken Blade now the one going to be chased. And 100 Thieves, they find 2 there.
Their spidey senses told them something was up, yet they didn't commit to it, and now they lose the Baron push, they're gonna lose the Dragon, and they might try to get a steal here with Broken Blade. His Shock Blast have been really on point, but Contract has Smite. They're not even gonna think about it. They're just gonna block it and make sure that it doesn't happen. Yep, they seal it. I'm surprised with TSM just walking into it thinking that it was safe when we saw in their game body language that they suspected something was up.
Yep, and you can see Spidey's hits did not tingle enough as 100 Thieves finally sprung the trap here in bot lane.
It's great from them. It shows us that they're still looking to find a win. I love that they instantly just go in. You need Contracts to just flash in and make sure that the play is as quick as possible. You know that the Aphelios needs to go down ASAP. And they got lucky that Bjergsen didn't die at the very end of that as well, because that would have been a huge kill to also take out.
Boom also manages to live, and I think you can kind of see why they like playing Olaf plus Enchanter, right? But gonna have to hold that thought, because another fight could potentially be brewing here. Cody does not have ulti up just yet, but it's close. Good stun there onto Treats, but he's one of the tankier members of either of these teams, and some days rolling back into middle lane with the ultimate up and ready, but Baron's still up long enough that TSM are able to take down the tier 2 in mid.
They still get a little bit of value from that Baron, so they can feel somewhat good that they salvaged that play. But still, the ward here is the witness. It knows what happened down. It knows that 100 Thieves was still looking, still thinking about how they could win this game. It's a really good sign from them. And now the items get to be a little bit more dangerous from these champions like the Wukong. He's at the DD completed, looking for that Stair-X gauge next to make sure that he can survive when he goes into so much burst that TSM has right now.
You also see Contracts working on Randuin's by the looks of things. So going to be a bit tankier now after the Black Cleaver and the Warrior. I think a pretty sensible choice, given all the damage raining in. But here's TSM looking for Contracts. Going to have to Ragnarok out of there. Bjergsen dives in. Good Shock Blast again. Wild Growth forced out. Poom now going to be left to the Wolves as Broken Blade's looking for that kill. But Poom, tagged just barely. The shotgun rolling in, and Poom, he lives through the onslaught. 100 Thieves are going to get out of there.
Wow, they got so lucky there, and I don't think TSM's in a position to actually push from that, so they just get to take some sums and some help from the side of 100 Thieves, and they are just glad that they walk away living there. You can see just how strong TSM is in just flat-out damage, focusing the Olaf. He's not very tanky. Even though he has that Randuin's, it's not going to do much to keep him alive when you have all the armor shred from your Black Cleavers, and you've got the Aphelios, who doesn't care about tanks in the first place, so Contracts can't really be playing frontline, and that is why we value Olaf's early game and not so much of his late. You are just spending so much of your time running at somebody that these carries have an easy time shredding you, and by the time you're hitting them with your reckless swing, you're already at half HP, and your passive is not making up for it.
All right, well, 100 Thieves finally cracked the mid out of tower. So minute 20 will be the next Baron. 2 minutes will be the next Dragon. It will be soul point for whichever team grabs it. So a bit more space, a bit more breathing room now to play around the center of the map. Roam is going to pick up this wave in top lane, tracking the mid lane of TPs. They're almost up. They're not up just yet. In fact, everyone's TP except Somedays is currently on cooldown. But looks like Bjergsen is going to be playing side lane once again here in top. Is not going to spot Contracts here. Oh, he is, but Contracts actually not going to get away. Yeah, better be paying attention to your screen. Get out of the shop. Force to Ragnarok. There's the Shock Blast. And Olaf going to run out, but that's a cooldown he did not want to have to use there.
Yeah, that's going to hurt. It's going to hurt, especially in the setup. It won't be a big problem for the Dragon, but it might be with the Baron if TSM continues to play around this side of the map. They already have Bjergsen pushing here. The rest of the team is setting up. They know that Aphelios can just shred it real quickly, and once they take out this control ward, it will really be the last relevant ward that 100 Thieves has on this side of the map. They're going to be very happy to have an Ashe right now with the Scryers and a Hawkshot available. The TP comes in to make sure that they can continue to pressure this and try to catch somebody of 100 Thieves face checking into the red side. Look at how dark it is there. They have no idea what's going on. They just know that the timer says Baron's not up yet.
Poom almost ate the chain on the end of that combo and would have lost an awful lot of health, but no cooldowns used. Poom will get a little bit of health back slowly but surely, and 100 Thieves going to have to be careful in the dark against TSM. It does feel like, though, the next exchange around these major objectives could very well determine the winner of this game. TSM still up few thousand gold here, so feeling comfortable, but 100 Thieves have shown that with the right team fight, they can certainly make things happen. But TSM aggressively starting Baron here.
They just see it now. The Scryers just got popped, and Contracts does have Flash, so TSM have to respect that there's a steal possibility. They back off, and the fight begins.
He's in. Arrow in as well, going in for Treats, but he's pretty tanky. Poom in the front line, but Someday trying to dive the backside as Treats does fall, and Someday now going to spin back towards his team as Poom barely lives again, but Someday going to get chained up as forced to flash there, and does dodge the Shock Blast, so low health bars on either side, but it's only 100 Thieves that get the kill.
They're going to go for the Dragon, but TSM can still threaten a Baron here. Double Lift is really strong. The second shot comes out. Great timing to see that they can stop this, but 100 Thieves is spreading themselves thin. They're going for both objectives.
That Scry's Bloom spotting Bjergsen felt extremely relevant in that spot, but Bjergsen might just still go for it here. The Shock Blast is good. Bjergsen's going to have to dash back, and TSM are committing to finishing this objective. Someday isn't there. He didn't really have health anyway. 100 Thieves need to find a way around this Baron. Contracts might just have to get in there and try and steal it. He's going to flash in. He's not going to get it. But can they win the team fight after? TP's coming in for 100 Thieves, but Bjergsen grabs the big shutdown gold off of Contracts' bounty. And 100 Thieves chasing, looking for kills here, but TSM already got what they wanted.
Oh, TSM was willing to coin flip on that one. Great kill.
Broken Blade sniping Poom, who finally dies for once in these engagements.
The Aphelios turret actually, did it aggro onto Someday and also splash onto Poom at the same time that Broken Blade hit that Shock Blast? I think that's what actually ended up going down, because the kill credit went to Aphelios after the Shock Blast hit.
Ulti onto Double Lift, but no one can reach him. Someday just dives in there, but only to his death into the throes of the 3 TSM carries.
They're still here and healthy, and with Baron, they can push.
Yeah, they're actually staying on the map, which I like. TSM picking up the pace in the last 5 to 10 minutes, Crumbs. And they're going to knock down this inhibitor tower. Ryoma only one here to defend. Cody letting the arrow rip, finds Broken Blade. Contracts is in there. Going to get the shutdown of his own this time, as Ryoma is just going to get sniped by Bjerg. And it's 3v3, but it's not a particularly fair 3v3, as TSM will crack the top inhib tower and the inhib itself on the way as Speaker's working on mid lane. TSM closing in on the 100 Thieves Nexus.
They can definitely get so much here. They don't even have to base if they want to continue going, but they'll likely do it. Bjergsen, low mana, so they're just going to be really happy that off the single push, without resetting from Baron, you can go down to the bottom Nexus turret and just ride it on home. This is a checkmate position practically, 400 Thieves. We're going to see that first fight here. This is actually the aftermath after the Baron. Let's see what actually happened to Poom, because there's the turret, right? And Cody suspects that there's a turret happening. It hits the same time that the Aphelios turret with Infernum hits Someday is time with the Broken Blade Shock Blast. That is just unfortunate in the day of a Lulu.
Well, it hurts, and 100 Thieves watch a large chunk of their base crumble to the TSM Baron power play, which is not over, by the way. TSM looking to march down bottom lane and finish off this game, as you mentioned, Crumbs. But I feel like there's a team fight left here for 100 Thieves. They haven't really put all the pieces together yet. You know, the Ashe arrow into the Wukong ulti with the Olaf running through with the Lulu ulti on. You can see it come together.
Someday doesn't have TP, and he's just basing right now, so there isn't even an opportunity to try to wait around in the brush and flank. So it's going to have to come straight up into 100 Thieves, into TSM, and that's exactly what Aphelios wants you to do. He wants you to run at him because he's this fed. So the Baron buff will run out before the wave crashes into the tier 3, but it doesn't matter. They're already this strong. A few shock blasts here and there, and they'll have this turret.
Yeah, plenty of power still left here for TSM. So it should be a pretty straightforward siege. 100 Thieves just trying to fend off the incoming TSM, but the ult is going to find Poom. In they go with the Shock Blast as Treats runs in with the Leona. That inhibitor's dead as Bjergsen is looking low, but not out just yet. Someday spinning around trying to catch the pesky LeBlanc, but cannot get the kill just yet. Broken Blade's going to chase Someday away, and TSM can just walk out of here.
A double lift?
Double lift? Oh, no, he can't. Yeah, he better get out of there, Chief. Does Mercurial Scimitar out?
Aphelios is not that strong. Like he needs all the CC to be initially used on the rest of the team. But at least Someday going for that play actually deters the wave as well. So he finds a way to get that. But now Bjergsen gets a TP and another Shock Blast hits Ryoma. Broken Blade sure knows who to hit with these.
Yeah, it feels like, you know, nothing happened at all. The Bjergsen just TP's back in to continue the assault. as TSM looking to finish off that Nexus. But 100 Thieves, can they hold on Crumbs? It's looking grim.
Not a lot of mana, no Someday ultimate thus far, and those second 2 waves are about to hit. So I think this looks really good for TSM. We just need to see Broken Blade find an angle, look for he's shooting for it. He's not really thinking about getting it onto Contracts or Someday, always looking for Poom or Ryoma, and then Cody's the secondary target. But here comes the engage.
Here we go again. Doublelift is the target. He's got no flash. He gets wild growth up. Contracts takes him out, but the return damage absolutely absurd on TSM's side, but they can't get a carry just yet. Broken Blade gets hit. Here comes Someday, but he gets exhausted. Very nice work there for Treats, but now Someday begins the spins. Can he win? It's Treats that goes down as well after Speaker falls, and 100 Thieves Crumbs. They found the fight they needed. They will stay in this game as they pick up 4.
What? I thought this was TSM's game in the bag at this point. The Dragon is up as well. That means 100 Thieves can go and take this. Bjergsen's not enough to deter it. They can just creep, kill the minions in the base. And that engage was all because Doublelift was initially caught out, had to burn the flash, and then put himself in the position to be re-engaged on, knowing that, hey, 100 Thieves can just run straight at me and I'm not going to have a way out. So they did a great job in punishing the small window that TSM gave them. And now the Ashe gets to go to the Dragon. She's going to find Bjergsen there. And this could give them the sole point to keep this game going, Pacey. We knew we were in for a long one, but this is not how I thought it would pan out.
No, Cody does need a friend though. Poom is here, but this LeBlanc is still very scary, and they don't have a smite to secure this. So Bjerg might even just say, hey, I'm going to steal this. Here comes Contracts. They are going to delay for their jungler, which I think is a really smart play, and now they'll force him out. So this Dragon will go over, but what's it going to cost? Bjergsen, though, maybe going to be caught out of position. Cody letting the arrows fly, but doesn't pick up Bjerg. They get aggressive here. Here comes Broken Blade, 3v3 or 3v4 right now, but Broken Blade, he's got no CC. That Shock Blast didn't slow anybody down. So 100 Thieves going to get the Dragon, get the soul, and walk out of there.
If it gets 100 Thieves to run back into their base, it's an opportunity for TSM to go to the Baron. That's what they're going for right now. 100 Thieves, at least they know that there's no TP that could backdoor them, but this is just too out of position to contest this. Now they're going to have to deal with TSM going for another Baron up push against a base that is in shambles. TSM have to pull the trigger on this push and try to end the game, because if you lose it later, you're now just going to be giving up 100 Thieves an opportunity to take Elder.
I mean, but it's tough. Like, look at TSM's sums on the left-hand side of your screen. They've got nothing right now on anyone. You know, it's one inhib down only for 100 Thieves. They've managed to wait for the other two to respawn. In fact, 100 Thieves are getting aggressive here, trying to pick off Bjergsen. Contract's going to check the brush, but can't find him. So Ryoma is going to go back down, clean up the rest of the wave here in bottom lane, and TSM will reset and regroup for this Baron up push.
I like what we saw at 100 Thieves there, knowing that the only thing we can find right now is a grouped up pick. We cannot be alone. Only Ryoma gets to leave the base on the bottom side, knowing that TSM was last around the Baron side, so he's a little bit safer. But now comes the split push approach from TSM. Are they going to commit to multiple lanes and try to just run it in with the Baron? Because you've got a lot of champions that can push very fast. If 100 Thieves is to split up, there is an opportunity for us to see one of these backdoor games that we have gotten to see a few times in the LCS this split. So, wait a minute. Okay. The engage just barely missed.
That arrow actually hit Treats. Not a target that can really chase that far away. So TSM will keep going.
No arrow. That is a big cooldown. That was really important in catching out.
I see Someday. Yeah, Speaker got to get out of there. Someday going to chase him down. They go for it. He's got the 2 knockups. Speaker's got no flash. He's Ignite Graves. That's the jungler dead. 5v4 now for 100 Thieves. So they're going in again. Contract onto Doublelift again. He's got no flash. It's coming up soon, but he's going to just kill him. It's over. The next is open. TSM! They've managed to rush it down. They will defeat the Thieves. But a very dramatic ending. 100 Thieves. They knew they were going to win that last fight. They just couldn't win the race to the Nexus.
What is it with TSM this split and trying to end these games in the most unusual fashion? Bjergsen backdoors. Once again, he's going for the BD alongside Broken Blade, but it's what we talked about, Pacey. There's such a strong pushing power. There's no base left for 100 Thieves. If they commit to any engage on one side, you know they're going to pull the trigger and try to end. That's what they did. They got the win, and they actually beat the team that beat Cloud9. So where does that put TSM now?
Crumbs, that's a very loaded question.
It is.
To be honest with you. So I think we can get out of here and let somebody else decide what's going on.
Let's see if Mark, Raz, or Probably can give us an answer. Is TSM better than Cloud9 now?
I don't know. I don't know who's got the answers, Crumbs, but we are going to go to a break, and on the other side we'll hear from the Verizon post-game interview, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the Verizon post-game interview. I'm Riv, and I'm joined by TSM Treats. No, you're not on Academy. This is the LCS, and TSM Treats has just won over 100 Thieves. And that's kind of my first question, man. December of 2018 is around the time you joined TSM Academy, and now you get to load onto the Rift with the main team. How does that feel?
Yeah, obviously it's really fun. I mean, I was waiting for this opportunity for a long time, so I'll just make sure I'm ready for it and do my best in every game, and it feels really good.
Absolutely. And we see a lot of, changes going on in rosters, and that kind of means watchful eyes on those positions. How are you dealing with that pressure and also the pressure of being double lift support?
Overall, I don't really feel a lot of pressure. Like, I know what I'm capable of myself, so I don't put too high standards, but I know what I'm capable of, and I know that I can show that to my teammates and everyone within the org, so I'm just happy to be here and happy to play my best.
You're not worried about any double lift lane critique?
No. I'm sure we can grow better together, so.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Who, recently are you watching to improve? Obviously you're being given a chance here and showing up, but how are you improving your gameplay overall?
I mean, overall, talking a lot to Doublelift has helped me improve my lane.
Yeah.
We have a lot of discussions about different picks, how to play different lanes, etc. Also, just watching other regions like LPL, LEC, and like LCK. Just the top teams in general, they're really strong in other regions, where I think NA is like slightly lacking. It's like C9 is pretty good, and then it's kind of a toss-up after that. So, yeah, just watching other people and talk to my lane partner has been the biggest thing for me.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure a lot of people are really happy to have seen you on the main stage now, Treats, and we can't wait to see what more you have to offer in the future for TSM. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Now, as we go to break, we are going to have the Mean Queen, Avali May, set us up for our next game. Check it out.
Many of us are working from home and adjusting to new coworkers. Coworkers who borrow supplies and always interrupt meetings. A gift can help. And when you use your MasterCard, you have security benefits that keep you protected, so your purchase ends up in the right hands or mouth. And your staff can start something priceless.
Hello and welcome back to Friday Night League. My name is Pastry Time, and I am here with EG's coach Artemis ahead of EG versus TL, which is coming right. Artemis, thank you so much for joining me. First things first, Golden Glue, the big signing of EG this week. We know that EG had interest in having a bigger roster, so why Golden Glue and why now?
Well, we've been looking at Golden Glue since he was dropped from Golden Guardians. We started conversations with him very quickly, and I think that coupled with the results we were seeing in scrims over the past 2 weeks and also the results of our stage games this past weekend made us decide that we needed some kind of change. And Golden Glue's fit in very naturally to the roster. He's the kind of guy who is not afraid to play for the team, and he just wants to do his job in whatever system he finds himself in. So he was a very natural fit. And as far as why Golden Glue, the name of the game is optionality. It's something we've spoke of before, where we are in a situation here at Evil Geniuses where we have 3 imports that we would really love to play, but unfortunately we can only play 2 right now. So what this does is it allows us to start a North American resident in the mid lane and play with both Huni and Bang, which is something that we know has very distinct strengths compared to our other rosters. So yeah, we were definitely excited when he became available. We started the conversations early, and this just seemed like the perfect time to slot him in.
And you talk about differences in the rosters. Can you expand a little bit about what Huni and Golden Glue kind of bring to this team, or maybe Huni and Bang, whatever combination it is that you see is kind of bringing something different to the table?
Sure. So I coached Huni before at Clutch Gaming during our run to Worlds last year. And Huni was absolutely instrumental in that run. The kind of leadership that Huni brings is really second to none in the LCS, and I haven't seen a player like him. When the team is functioning well at a high level and he has pieces around him that he can trust, Huni's the kind of guy who will really carry you through the mid and late game with his decision making and how decisive he is and how assertive he is. Not to mention just his veterancy, his champion pool. All these things make Huni a very powerful player when it comes to having him in your roster. And Golden Glue, like I touched on a little bit before, he's very much interested in figuring out his role within the system and executing that to a T. So for Golden Glue, I was actually very surprised with how strong of a player he was mechanically. I think that, at least from what we saw in scrims, rather. But there's always this meme around that Golden Glue is just like this mediocre NA player who will never really be exceptional. But we don't think that's the case at all. We were very, very pleased with the performances we've seen out of Golden Glue this week in scrims. But on top of his mechanical execution, his strengths are really his communication. I think that Golden Glue is one of the strongest communicators that I've had the pleasure of coaching, especially his in-fight communication, how he calls his own timers, how he calls enemy timers, how he's calling about positional movements within the fight in really dynamic, high-pressure situations. So I think that the two of them combined really take a lot of the burden off of Tristan or off of Zazel and allow him to focus more on his engages, more on his vision setups, and more on like the intrinsic qualities of what it means to be a support. So this is a very balanced roster, and it's a roster with really 5 intelligent players who are all communicating at a high level. And I think hopefully we should see some of that teamwork shine this weekend.
That's awesome. And then thinking about the differences between kind of spring and summer as we take a bit of a step back, obviously the expectations for the summer was that, the roster was going to be bigger, and obviously performance will be similar, if not better than spring. Kind of how's the season going for you and the rest of EG so far?
Well, we're sitting at 5-5, tied for 4th place. So not great, but not terrible. And I think we're in striking distance of where we want to be, which is the top 4 seeds come playoffs. Anything under the top 4 seeds, you won't get the double elimination, which is absolutely crucial to going deep in playoffs and qualifying for Worlds. And that's our goal, qualify for Worlds. And again, having the opportunity to bring in a roster with, Deftly and Jizuke, or Jizuke and Kumo, whatever we want to do come playoffs, we'll have different looks that we can show these teams, determining by the meta, whether or not it's very much a team-focused Dragon first setup meta as it is now, or if we start shifting back to a more lane-focused, side lane-focused meta. I'm confident that with the pieces we have, we'll be able to field the best roster for the meta and for the matchup, and I'm confident that we'll make it to Worlds.
So it kind of brings me to this question, which is, you're 10 games in, 5-5 is not the worst record, as you said, but obviously not where the team wants to be right now. So why make these changes now? We know you wanted to have a 7-man roster, potentially have an 8-man roster. It seems that quite late into the season to be making changes. I mean, you signed Golden Glue right before the trade deadline, basically. So why is EG making these changes now when we're so deep into the season?
I think the answer is twofold. First, I don't think we're that deep into the season. We're only 10 games in, which is 1 game ahead of the 9, which is the halfway mark. So really, for all intents and purposes, we're halfway through the season. Second, we have some pretty tough matchups this weekend with Team Liquid and Cloud9. Both of these teams are at the top of the standings, and we can reasonably expect them to beat all teams underneath them. So as far as what this weekend does to our standings, like I said, we can trust Team Liquid and Cloud9 to beat all the other teams as well. So even if we do go 0-2 this weekend, we still have 3 weeks left, 6 games where we can start to make our run and climb the rankings and get to a higher seed, very similar to what we did in Spring Split, where I think after week 7, we were, again, in 5th or 6th place, and we ended up finishing the regular season in 2nd. So the fact that there is these 2 matchups this weekend that are both expected to beat us, at least from the outside, injecting a little variance into that process is never a bad thing. And on top of that, we also were struggling in scrims the past 2 weeks, and we also struggled on stage where we were losing games to much weaker teams from very, very winning positions. We had a 5K lead against CLG at 14 minutes and somehow let that game slip away. So the fact that we weren't beating teams that we knew we should be beating with the previous roster, as well as knowing that we had 2 very tough matchups this weekend, it seems like the perfect time to get this roster experience, to look at them in scrims, look at them on stage, see how they click, and then make a decision for the coming 3 weeks.
Well, certainly feels like a bold decision, but one that certainly has not been made lightly. So, Artemis, best of luck with your matchup both today and throughout the weekend, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Julian.
All right, well, I can't wait to start this game, so I'm going to go do it. Bye.
Julian?
Hey everybody, let's play some more League of Legends.
Hey!
I'm joined here by Karam for EG versus TL.
What a great interview, man. That was
Thank
probably
you.
everything I could have possibly wanted to ask EG about this split and this changes. And we knew whether it's the communication, whether it's it frees up Zeyzal and allows him to focus more on his own gameplay so that maybe Bang can shine a little bit more. So, I mean, I don't have anything else to ask. If anybody's got any questions about EG, just rewatch that because this just brings you to full speed.
Honestly, full credit to Artemis. He's incredible interview, really insightful guy. Clearly, thinks a lot about how his players interact and works very well with the other coach there as well. So excited to see what this EG can do. Again, lots of questions. It was cool to get some insight about how it's been going preparing for this match, but how this team actually plays is going to be very different because even Golden, who actually had a talk today with Infant Global, he was talking a little bit about how his experience went, and it was one of those things where scrims went so well that you would be foolish to not play this roster.
Oh, but
so
I've
now
heard
we
the
have
story.
to see it. Exactly, that's the problem. We've seen this so many times. In practice, things work, and when you get to the LCS stage, it just doesn't work the same way. So, TL, the second best team right now, extremely consistent, very solid across all their positions. Going to be very tricky to unseat them, but with a new roster, EG are looking at their tough weekend and figuring out ways in which they can attack their opponents.
That's the thing about TL, right? They're really tough because, yes, they have these games that look like a team that has this record shouldn't be having them, but unlike all the teams below them, they actually still close them out, right? They have been able to consistently win, and at the end of the day, that is the mark that has put a lot of these teams in the boat where they're trying to make a lot of swaps because they feel like the game is slipping away versus at least you can close it out and you can sigh your relief and feel like, okay, we can actually upgrade and feel or improve on what is making these games so chaotic and still have a record that relieves you of the stress of not making those seeds in playoffs.
And in Team Liquid's defense, some of their games that looked a little bit messy, that were very close, where it feels like they kind of got away with a couple wins there. Since then, they've actually, the next week, they cleaned up everything. And they've been, very methodical, not particularly exciting to watch at times, but they have been extremely effective. And to be honest, really clean macro play and just super solid players have been kind of the thing that has brought Team Liquid 4 championships in a row, which has never been done before in the LCS. So even though their spring wasn't all that exciting, obviously, if you're a Team Liquid fan, they're still playing the style that they're used to playing and that they're very successful with. So again, Probably was saying on the desk earlier today, can't blame them for how they're playing. It's not all that interesting, especially when you compare them to the likes of Cloud9, which are constantly pushing the limit and trying to go for every single fight. But hey, they're the second best team in the league for a reason, at least by record, because they do win and they win often.
Slow and steady is a very valid strategy to win, and at the end of the day, come international play,
what we really want is that teams have developed their own style and really honed in on it. So if Team Liquid is about just slowing the pace of the game down, focusing on their objectives, and still coming out ahead, so be it. If the team that wins the Worlds ends up being a team that plays this style, we are going to be praising Team Liquid for having such incredible foresight to have thought about playing the game this way from the beginning. So if they continue to win like this, I think we have to turn the ship around and say, all right, Team Liquid, I think you're onto something.
I think the other thing is, like, everyone remembers, like, the high points of that 4-time winning Team Liquid, right? You know, Doublelift was on the team, and everyone remembers him flashing in and smashing a lane with Core JJ, and, like, Broxah comes in, and you're like, this guy's super first blood, hungry, like, aggressive jungler, and he's alongside Jensen, and finally he's going to be unlocked in the 2v2 again, and they're just going to beat up everyone, and, like, that's not the way they're playing, and that's fine. Like, you don't have to play the way that people want you to play. You have to play the way that gets you wins. Because, you know, we can complain all we like, Crumbs, but if Team Liquid are winning, there's not a whole lot to complain about. So let's talk about the EG side a little bit more, because, again, there are lots of questions. Now, who are you more excited for as far as changes go, Crumbs? Because I think it's an interesting discussion. Is it Golden Glue or is it Huni?
So for me, I'm going to be excited more for Huni because we haven't seen Golden Glue for 3 months. Not really sure what to expect. We know what EG liked about him, which is, okay, we like the champion pool, we like the communication, the leadership aspect. But for Huni, I think that him as a player has seen a very different approach to playing the game when he played in Academy all of this split, because he has 7 lifetime games on Ornn. Now, if you followed Huni for some time, you know he loves playing carries. He's got the Lucian top, he's got the Jaces, the GPs, whatever. He can play Quinn, Cassiopeia, anything that is a carry top. 3 of the 7 Ornn games happened this split in the Academy, or in the LCS, and the Spring and Academy. So he has just been really thinking about the team this time around, and I think that's what EG liked about him. We're going to go straight into a halfway done draft.
Yeah, we're in there. Let's catch up. Rumble, Ashe, Ezreal, Aphelios, Twisted Fate, Ornn are the bands. First pick Kalista, picked Senna and Set, Azir, Lee Sin, and Orianna, and we are all caught up. Apologies for getting so quickly, but due to the delay, we did have to get in there. But thankfully, we're going to catch the back end of the draft.
And the one that I think might be surprising to people is the Rumble. Huni has been playing Rumble a ton, and if you remember his days from Clutch, which is the pivotal player that was carrying a lot of the games from that team, and we heard from Artemis, who also was a coach there, that one of the reasons why he liked Huni was a lot of the decisiveness that he had. Rumble is a fantastic champion for that. You drop that ultimate, it's time to go. So getting rid of it, one of his best picks, if not the best one, I think just shows a big sign of respect, especially knowing that on red side, he could just save it for last and smoke Team Liquid with it.
Ooh, Taric ban away from Core JJ alongside the Thresh, so losing some of the power picks alongside the Kalista. Wukong also being lost for EG, which you can, of course, play in a bunch of different roles. Also kind of fun to see. I mean, again, this mid lane matchup does not invoke excitement, but certainly I think you want Golden Glue in something very comfortable. And Jensen has been taking Azir in a lot of situations because it kind of feels like he's the one that, like, feels like he has to be more of, like, the insurance policy in the late game. So he's happy to take Azir, especially when he's meta. He's so good on that champion.
Not only can he be the insurance policy, but we've seen what he can do when he's got somebody next to him to punish these immobile mid laners. Last week, it was the Azir into the Syndra. He had a Shen to back him up and picked on Belter nonstop. This time, against an Orianna, you can kind of do the same thing. Lee and Azir are very strong at post 6 at punishing these immobile kind of champions. So I want to see if Broxah and Jensen team up, or maybe we get to see Impact's Shen again. It would definitely be a treat. We got 2 top lane bans in the second rotation for Team Liquid, so they're trying to set up Impact for success. Let's see what he drafts next.
Bard on the menu, perhaps? Been a pretty powerful champion. Codage's played it a couple times already, and there is going to be Bard locked in for TL. So now we need a top laner. And I guess you should operate under the assumption that they're giving Huni counterpick. Of course, Huni could have this set if he wanted to, but set could also go support or farming, depending on who wants to play it there alongside the center. So lots of options here, but Mordekaiser seems pretty stable, and that will be the selection for Team Liquid.
Okay, so Mordekaiser for Impact now. Huni has been playing Ornn, Rumble, and GP and Set. That's all he's played this split. So either he's going to be taking the Set and not giving us something new, which would just be thinking about Svenskeren for the last pick, which is not something that is typically what Evil Geniuses goes for, except this time they are, because that is a Karma with Huni. Boy, this is really what we got.
Yeah,
Karma top. All right. Sure.
Can bully the lane, potentially. Karma's like a pretty robust laner. That does, of course, mean Set jungle for Svenskeren, which is one of the many possibilities alongside Set. I think of interest to me, just looking at these compositions, is Bang on the center. Not necessarily because he's playing center, because I think plenty of marksmen are quite competent on this champion, but it's alongside a traditional support here in Braum. So this could be something we actually don't see as often, which is center's just taking a traditional farming role as a marksman. Seen it a couple times. I definitely remember Mash doing it this split in Academy. I don't think he did it in the LCS. But
we have to apologize to him. We have to apologize to Mash because we were criticizing it. It's like, hey, this is not that good because he's status farming, but it's picked up around the world nonstop. It's getting mixed reviews here and there. Some people don't even get to take it off the ground. The thing about it is that if you get going and you hit mid to late, even, you're just an absolute beast on this champion. She's incredibly strong. So it's all about getting past that early stage where you don't have that big of a wave clear.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the ability of Senna to empower, a different farming champion in bot lane is really cool. We've seen this, actually, Zeyzal played Rumble alongside support Senna, which was one of the cooler picks of spring. We've seen Wukong, we've seen Set. You can do just about anything, and that's all well and good. But Senna's also like a perfectly good champion, and she's fine just farming as well as a regular marksman. Was designed, in fact, to be able to play both roles. So, it's not as cool, I guess, is the reason why we didn't like it as much. But
it can be cool with Huni when they group up. I think what they want to do is have the shield on Bang so that they just have Bang be the star of the show. You've got the Braum to CC anybody if anybody gets close. You've got the Karma, the Orianna shield. So they really would just want a complete death ball on EG. So it can be interesting to watch. It's just something that is not as flashy as what we've been used to when it's Malphite Orianna catching you off guard. And you're like, yay, Shockwave.
I mean, they certainly are very enjoyable to watch. I am curious to see how team fights especially go, not from like how do these compositions match up against each other necessarily, but how to what do Huni and Golden Glue do that Kumo and Jizuke don't do, right? Like Jizuke is, I think, known for super good split push pressure, very not off meta because most of the champions he plays, somebody plays out there in the world, but he plays not many people play Echo in NA right now as an example, right? But he's still willing to play that champion. So I think, as we heard from Artemis, there'll be more of an emphasis on maybe team fighting here in this 5v5 comp, but I'm curious to see how the different things play. As we get this delay resolved, though, I'm going to throw it over to the recent spotlight on Team Liquid's bot laner, Tactical.
During the spring split, when I was playing my few games, it felt pretty surreal what was happening. I couldn't completely process that I was playing LCS with some players I would never have imagined to play with beforehand.
Tactical is in for Team Liquid. We'll see if he can fill the biggest shoes that an AD carry could have in North America, which is Doublelift himself. I mean, literally any player coming to the LCS, you'd be like, that's a downgrade from Doublelift.
Tactical got to be the starting AD carry of the 4-time defending champions. It was a lot of pressure and some really big shoes to fill.
The re-engage could be too good. TL gonna chase down the kills. A double kill for Tactical. Give him the third.
Oh, they both dash over the wall. Beautifully done by Tactical.
Coming into the Summer Split of 2020, he gets the full-time spot.
I sort of couldn't believe it at first, because there's no way I would have ever thought 1 year ago from now that I would have replaced Doublelift, basically. So it just took some time to sink in, and I was really happy, but also I was also nervous at the same time because I was thinking about would I mesh well once we're in during season, would I be able to stand my own against the other top players in LCS, and was I good enough? But if a world champion is willing to play with me, I think there might be something going on.
I still remember that when he was in the academy team, I was keep asking him, do you want to duo with me? He said, playing playing with you is like pressure me. I'm scared to make a mistake when I play with you, and at that he's very shy, and then he's not a really aggressive like personality. But when I talk to him like more and more, I realize he has a big anger to be better. You don't want to lose to anybody.
He's someone who is clearly a perfectionist. He can win a laning phase by 20 CS and still sometimes be beating himself up because he didn't win it by 30 CS.
I'd say I bring a chance to the team to be able to change. For example, if they had maybe kept double lift, it would have been harder for them to change the way they wanted to play, just because veterans usually have like a solid ground of how they want to play the game and how they view the game. But I don't really have like the solid ground yet, so I'm pretty like open. I bring some new excitement to the team, I think, like Zoomer energy.
I've seen a lot of other rookies come into teams of veterans, of people with strong minds, and they're just like little puppy dogs, like trying to follow people around, and they're not really able to build off of the things that got them to the pro stage in the first place. But Tactical is not like that, right? Tactical is able to be tactical.
As a player, he's like a diamond from the mine. In NA mine, I can see he's gonna be shine in the future.
This is a very scary prospect for Team Liquid to sub out Double Lift. It is very obviously a downgrade.
Nice start. Oh my God, Stun's gonna go down. There's no way he lives there.
Wind is safe, but here comes Tactical. And Tactical wins the duel.
If you took away his name and you put in Double Lift there, you'd be like, oh yeah, just give him Player of the Week. That was great.
What a quick start. Don't stop.
And already Tactical is here to kill his old teammate. So, Aspa's great hook by Aspa.
I feel like we already are moving past him living in Double Lift shadow.
Tactical, so far, 2 thumbs up.
Give it what you got right now.
But that is Cody's son dying out of the turret. Look at this damage. Tactical hasn't been available to Marfuse would kill him, but he's changed in place. Tactical, taking names.
Whether it be in League of Legends or in other sports, it's oftentimes really important to make that strong first impression. Sometimes you don't have full control over when it's going to be or in what situation it's going to happen, but you need to be ready for that situation. So he was someone who was able to be ready for the moment and step up to the moment. And my hope is that he can continue to do that throughout the rest of his career.
Money. Give it what you got right now. Take your best shot right now. Everybody's watching. Everybody's talking.
Hello and welcome back, everybody. It is time for our game. Thank you for waiting through the delays. We did have teams drop out of Champ Select, and then there was a pause. But here we are with the start of our second game of the evening. It is Team Liquid Crumbs versus EG, but not as you know them. Golden Glue and Huni rocking the mid lane and top lane this weekend, actually, as far as we're aware.
That is where our eyes are going to be glued, into the mid lane, because Golden Glue kind of represents North American talent in a way. He's what a lot of players have rallied behind as to somebody that should be in rosters. And you asked in the Champion Select, how well does he have to do? What is the benchmark of what Golden Glue is required to happen in this game? And I think it's the Orianna game that Jizuka had against Immortals, where he went 2, 4, and 5. And frankly, that was one of the games that we nominated for a tactical int game, which was one of the worst performances in a winning game. So that is what Golden Glue has to be. He's known much more for his control mages than Jizuka, so I think he can definitely do a better job here. But what we heard from Artemis was that the shot calling was a big aspect that they liked about Golden Glue as well. So that's something that we don't get to really see, but as long as the macro for EG is solid, then I think we can know that the roster changes were positive.
Everyone loves a good revenge story as well. I remember when Golden Glue was on Cloud9, he was, alongside Jensen. Those were the two, fighting for spots, if you will, or at least, playing in those games where they did manage to sweep TSM, as Analyst S was talking about earlier on. So kind of a fun one there to see Golden Glue, now an evil genius, playing up against one of his old teammates in Jensen. But we'll have a peek here in the bottom lane. It is Tactical and Core JJ on the Callista and the Bard, but Caretaker trends everywhere for a bit of extra health, and we'll see how Bang does on the farming center, as you can see that Doran's Blade there. So this is going to be more of your traditional marksman center.
Traditional, yet he has so much of the rest of his team to be, which is big bodies in front of him to peel for him. So I think this, to me, I hit it in Champions Select. This is just EG doubling down on Bang as a facilitator, and Woonie, this is a good champion for him. I know we don't like to see the Karma in the top lane because, well, there's really not a lot of kill pressure and you're not really going to gank her a lot, but it gives him an ability to bully out the laning phase and still help the team out later in the stages of team fights. So this is him just saying, listen, I'll compromise, just give me something that can be a lane bully and I'll help you out later.
Yeah, I was going to say this feels like a good halfway point between his traditional Lucian super hard carries and Ornn, which has been playing more recently, as you mentioned. Karma's kind of maybe best of both worlds here. And so far so good against Impact, although Impact keeping up in farm just nicely, isn't too worried about the 1v1 just yet. FLICKR, though, could be the troublemaker here in topside. Gonna take the crab first, though. Very important for junglers to get their crabs.
Good that both junglers are pathing to the sides where they have pressure. So you see this FLICKR path his top side. You've got Huni pushing the way, so he can quickly collapse to that, and then Broxah path is to bottom. His bottom lane is pushing the minion wave as well, so he knows that he can always go to this crab and win a fight because his bottom lane will collapse sooner. So that just shows you that the junglers are thinking about where their route is going to end and timing it with their laners' pressure. So I think that both these teams so far are playing pretty well, right? It usually is a sign of trouble when the junglers path to the side where they don't have pressure and then get double crabbed.
Yes, which I think is becoming, from what I understand interacting with you, Crumbs, one of your least favorite things to see as a jungler. You just don't like it when the crabs aren't split in the early game and one jungler gets two of them here.
It's brutal. It's brutal. To see that happen to somebody is just, you feel for them because it's so much gold and experience and it helps everybody else out. And as a jungler, you kind of want to put the blame on your lanes like, oh, I needed one of you to come help me out. But then you also have to recognize, hey, I should have pathed better. I maybe should have seen and paid more attention to where my lanes were at and try to make my route consider that. So you can't pity the junglers too much, but you feel bad a little bit.
Bad to watch. Definitely bad to have happened to you in game. As we saw Impact and Huni battling for a bit here. Golden Glue and Jensen also doing battle. Jensen up 10 CS right now.
He's bopping Golden Glue. He has not used the potion. Golden Glue has burned through his. He's going to have to TP pretty soon. So Azir doing a lot of work thus far.
You can see FLICKR wanting to apply some pressure.
Ooh.
Jensen applies it right back to the mid laner, though. And he's just going to shove this and get out of there. He's got the TP if he needs to use it, so does Golden Glue, but Jensen will have the rights for the first back if he wants it. Core JJ, though, is roaming up here, and this is a dangerous spot for Golden Glue to be in, so he's going to have to back away. It's top lane, though, where the attention is. Huni's a little low on mana, but FLICKR going to flash in there. Impact going to have to flash up, but he doesn't make it over the wall, and Huni, with the empowered Q and no mana left, gets first blood.
Hits him with the crab, returns the cat instead, so Impact just fails to flash in. The Karma is tempting to follow because you know that she doesn't have enough damage, so as long as you can catch her off guard, he burned through a ton of the mana thinking he had an opportunity, but FLICKR was there, and at least Team Liquid is in a position to go for the dragon, though, so this is pretty positive for them. And whoa, even gets a flash out of Golden Glue there. I don't think Jensen had enough mana to pop an ultimate there.
That's a good point. I was going to say, if he does, you have to flash there. And that was a very respectful flash from Golden Glue, but you may be right about the mana situation. Speaking of, Huni had this one calculated.
Oh, Impact, where are you going?
He's trying to go over the wall.
Oh, no. That's worse than getting two crabbed. At least he has the sense of humor to spam emotes after death. Post-mortem emotes.
Kind of fitting for Mordekaiser, I feel like, as a champion, but
yeah.
in fact, not too perturbed. Mid lane, though, that LCS lead's already feeling a little scary. Jensen has, despite, you playing a lot of control mages and playing a lot of Twisted Fate, not the, super lane dominant, like aggressive champions that maybe he was known for in the past. His numbers have been excellent so far as a mid laner. So he is still, like, dominating people in lanes. It's just, not in the flashy way. He's doing it in the Team Liquid way, I guess we can call it.
Those numbers might get a little ballooned now, because if you ever played with a mid laner that loves to communicate what you can do, Jensen can just say, just come mid. Broxah, I've got flash, Orianna does not. I can just flash ultimate, worst case scenario. So they can just scoop her right from under the mid lane turret and get a kill there. Huni has to flash out of impact, fearing that he's got multiple cats ready to go. That was a different one than the one he used after death.
It's like Cat Lady Yorick, a whole bag ready to go and throw at Huni. As Impact has taken control of the top lane. Broxah and CoreJJ also continuing to be best buddies here on the roam alongside Jensen. Now Zeyzal has roamed up, but he might face check at the wrong time. I think that ward placement is good timing there for Zeyzal, as he does not walk into the potential trap, but the red buff still seems to be the target. And Broxah's trying to take that one away.
No Bard is there, and Golden Glue is dead.
Yeah, no flash, ulti back in, and that's going to be a kill. Oh, the Seta ulti makes it close, but it's not enough set, though. Going to find the dunk on Broxah, but he can't finish off the kill. Now Impact put him in the death realm. That's why he couldn't finish off Broxah. But now Impact may be dead to rights. Huni going to try and finish him off. Svenskeren getting way too low, though, and Jensen, as he pops out of the realm, he's able to get the kill. Huni's going to go down as well, and everything, Crumbs, everything goes wrong for EG.
That was just masterful from Team Liquid. So the big thing there is that EG did not know that CoreJJ had snuck in. We saw from the vision that they had no idea that there was a Bard. They thought, okay, maybe it's just the Lee Sin going for the red buff, going for a counter jungle, knowing that the set was going to be there. But the second that the Bard showed up, that's when trouble began. And they all played it perfectly. I mean, CoreJJ standing on the Azir wall, and then Impact saving Broxah. They're going to try to go on Huni, and Zeyzal flashes in.
Zeyzal's in there. TP's in with a spell book backup. And Svenskeren also ready. So they'll stop the Rift Herald, but no kills forthcoming and a lot of cooldowns burnt. Jensen might be trying it again. No, he's actually recalling. Playing a quick game of Go before he goes back home. And already, oh my goodness, Nash's tooth finish, Crumbs. 20 CS ahead. Let's watch this again.
All right, so the first thing, right, knowing that the Orianna doesn't have flash, nice and easy, stun the Orianna on the Azir. Cool little interaction there, and then watch Impact there. Not only with the initial scoop, but then ulting the set away so he can't receive additional help from the Karma. And it's fun to watch the Mordekaisers in this situation, because so many times Mordekaisers actually miss everything in the Death Realm, but Impact had to hit every spell to be able to take out the set before he spawned and had the Karma to help him out, and then another Q from CoreJJ. That was I'm going to give my tip of the hat to CoreJJ on that one, because he made a huge difference there.
Yeah, making those swiftness boots work, as he's been roaming around the map towards the mid lane quite often. Huni locking up Impact here. But he's just trying to collect the farm at this point, as Golden Glue is just forced to play very far back here. Here's CoreJJ again, by the way. No ulti for the bar, but he's going to sweep away the vision, and Golden Glue is going to continue to feel the pressure as Svenskeren up in the top side. Ready with the dunk. Impact does not have his flash for a little bit longer, but the roots are incoming. Impact trying to get out of this one, and actually death throw goes Svenskeren. Dunk. Flash out for Sven. Impact are going to keep chasing on, and Huni, he's got to finish it off. He comes back out, but Impact, now he's got his own shield as Huni is going to lock him up in the root. Impact, though, already burnt the flash, surely is going to die here. It's just a matter of does he get one or not, and the answer is no. Huni able to take him down with the gank from Sven.
That was Svenskeren and the rest of EG going for scraps there, because, yeah, you can take out Impact, but you're helping out your Karma. That's not going to win you the game. Instead, Team Liquid gets to go for the Dragon in the bottom side. They were setting this up from the pressure that Jensen was providing. They can clear out all the vision and then go for this major objective there. And honestly, in that play top, if Impact landed that final mace, Svenskeren was dead as well, and Impact would have been in a fantastic position. He might be 0-2, but he's still doing a great job in pressuring EG.
Well, Golden Glue thankfully does not get his recall cancelled. That would have been disastrous. But 2 dragons already for Team Liquid, very swiftly snowballing towards this Infernal Soul, which is the rip for this game. And 30 CS and counting now for Jensen.
not just him. Tactical also has a lead of the same magnitude against Bang, and it's pretty crazy that Team Liquid is already off to this strong start. I mean, this is a really strong improvement from what we had been criticizing about them, which is being somewhat slow, but against EG, their ability to just push these lanes and gain advantages from the laning phase is really impressive here. It's one of the weaknesses that Senna will have is that she's not going to be able to contest the waves early on and will likely fall behind in some weaker matchups, but Team Liquid has found opportunities to let Tactical be by himself and have Core JJ roam. Think about Sazel that had to TP away and leave his Senna alone too.
Yeah, I mean, Bang just getting what farm he can. Charging up the Manamune, also charging a tier in mid lane for Golden Glue. We've got Karma top lane for EG. Like, a lot of this is like, needs a bit of time and needs to be together, right? This is a 5v5 comp for EG, but TL just playing well across the lanes, snowballing the early game already. Actually up 2,000 gold, which at little under 13 minutes is pretty significant, and Jensen is not stopping these roams. Svenskeren suspects the Herald is being taken, but he's going to try and stop it, but there's a few more here than they bargained for. There's Jensen scooping one in. It's Svenskeren now. He's going to dunk himself back over the wall, but only to certain death center. Ulti going to make it close, but not close enough. Jensen, what a flash! Just barely gets out from under the shockwave, but he does get shut down, and now Golden Glue is going to get wrapped up by Core JJ. Into stasis he goes. Golden Glue gets to flash out. Impact with a double claw pulls two back in, and Brox is going to get the first one. Zazel's here for the follow-up stun, but there is no more damage left as TL trading up against EG.
That flash Q from Core JJ was sick, and before you know it, Tactical is already here. Team Liquid is still thinking about the objective game. They didn't see that Azir was coming. EG was blind when it came to moving through the red side, so Jensen just got to scoop multiple members. Svenskeren got lucky that that set has the ability to go through that wall and make sure that he can regroup with the rest of the team, but this is once again Team Liquid playing around the red side of the jungle and being much faster and utilizing pockets of vision to take advantage of EG now. It starts with Karma being by herself in the death realm, so she doesn't get scooped up. It's only Svenskeren. So once she comes out, it gets a little bit easier for them to manage it, especially once Orianna comes through and the Senna ultimate to help out as well. But the big play for me here is watch Core JJ here at the end, right? With the scoop to double stun with the scoop from Mordekaiser. It just looked beautiful. You almost wish they killed Golden Glue just to make it even nicer.
Well, let's still take it. Team Liquid still up in gold as EG are trying to fight back in this very tough early game. Jensen now down towards the bottom half of the map, but still has his best bud, Core JJ, by his side. And Brox is here as well. This is bullying. This Golden Glue going to get chased out. Oh, never mind. Svenskeren's here for the surprise. They actually get the shockwave through. I don't know how that hit Jensen. And the Haymaker's going to finish him off as EG bring Huni down to the bottom lane, and they win this engagement.
That was exactly the bait that EG needed to go for. An absolute surprise where Svenskeren is right there, because it looked like bullying. It's like, oh yeah, Golden Glue here by himself without flash in the bottom lane. Yeah, this should be pretty easy, but instead they pull the trap onto Azir and actually get the gold from him, and they are now playing to the red side. They're taking the page out of Team Liquid's book and using it, and it's looking good.
Yep. Svenskeren there threatening us all, gets himself the red buff after Windburst cloaking over the wall with the Hex Flash. Impact, though, is going to get himself the top lane outer tower, so gold lead's still staying pretty nice here for Team Liquid, up 2,500 gold, but Huni looking to finish off this tower and make that gold even closer. Golden Glue is going to complete his recall and go do a spot of shopping as the Rift Herald gets summoned here in mid lane. This is a pretty high-paced game here. Team Liquid continuing to try and snowball their advantage. They will take down the mid-outer, but that trade is not completed in the bottom lane as Jensen moves in to defend that tower. So 25 seconds now till this Infernal Drake is up, and it would be sole point if Team Liquid were able to get it. So EG, already 16 minutes into the game, Crumbs, have a very important set of decisions to make about how they want to approach this next objective, because I think most people would say you must fight for this Drake.
I think they absolutely would. Now, do they feel like they have the items to do so and the position? I'm not so sure. Orianna will have to teleport down here, and clearly Team Liquid is a lot stronger right now. Without Orianna being there initially, this composition is going to have a really hard time finding any poke or any way to engage right away. So I think that from the vision that we see in the top side, this is EG conceding this because Orianna is not here.
Yeah, has TP, so Golden Glue can make it here, but Vision to TP2. Not all that present. Speedtron's going to go over to Team Liquid as well. EG are committing here though, but Zace was getting wrapped up. Svenskeren diving in onto Impact. Lots of stasis there because Tempered Fate was popped there, but Golden Glue now going to make his way in. EG needs to find a way into this fight though. Center ulti out. Impact still low, but he's not out just yet, and somebody needs to find an angle on the ulti. Broxer just chasing Svenskeren out of there. The Shockwave primed here for Golden Glue, but doesn't want to pull it just yet. Onto Impact he goes. That's the target he wants. Impact though going to pull him back in. Golden Glue does get the kill, but he gets kicked back by Broxer into his certain death, as now Fate's Call going to knock up 2 in the front line. And here comes Jensen scooping the other back. It's Zazel dead now as Azir has grabbed the double kill.
And Team Liquid get to take the Dragon after that as well. They thought that they could just take a fight, AEG, but the Orianna, without being there, we saw it, we have the Observer, they need to be grouped up. This is the way that the composition operates. Orianna coming in a lot later just meant that the rest of EG was never confident enough to go for an aggressive move with the Senna into the river, so they were never able to actually establish a footing there. And you see the vision. This is why it was so hard for EG to move in. You've got those double control wards. A champion like Orianna does a lot for you when it comes to controlling vision that is taken by the enemy. The ball can give you the vision necessary to actually take those wards down, or at least know that you're not being ambushed by Team Liquid.
Yeah, well, let's just fight again here. I mean, EG knew they had to do something. It's just, you know, finding something to do is really hard in a spot like this.
So it's funny to see so many members of Team Liquid standing around, because there's essentially 3 people in stasis. It was first Zazel, then the Tempered Fate caught 2 members, and Jensen pulls out Svenskeren. So EG gets to disengage, knowing that the 3-man squad is somewhat safe. And here is where Golden Glue gets a little bit over eager. Now, Broxah doesn't have Kick Flash, but with the Mordekaiser to scoop you down, it's pretty easy to put yourself behind her.
Yeah, Svenskeren also just had to back. He had no health left after Broxah almost killed him, so Jensen finds the easy follow-up kill. And Golden Glue does get the tower in the bottom lane here, so we'll keep a little bit of gold in EG's pockets, but Soul Dragon's now looming in 4 minutes. This is a very swift snowball of that objective from Team Liquid.
And it's something that I think they have definitely been working on, because we have been hearing from their players themselves, like, this is not how we want to be known as, right? We don't want to have these slow games. We know that we have the advantages and we can push them, and the itemizations tell us that for sure. There's the Leandri's Nashor's completed on the Azir right now. He is just so freaking strong. There is nobody that can stand up to him right now. So as long as they can keep playing around Jensen and give him the opportunity to dish out damage, EG has no one that can buy enough time for Bang or Golden Glue to dish out damage. And they don't even have another threat. In fact, there's only 2 threats really, and they take a long time to be relevant.
KoJJ is just brimming with confidence right now. He's zooming through the enemy jungle, he's slapping Svenskeren, who he's 3 levels down from with Meeps. He's got Shirelius to charge the poison if there's a fight happening. Oh, that feels bad, man. Dabs on him as well. That was only a Hex Flash for Svenskeren, but it still looked sweet.
Oh, that is just wrecking Svenskeren there. The dab is really what sealed the
That's
deal.
psychological damage, you know?
Exactly. Try that on me once again and see what happens. You know Svenskeren's not looking for another Hex Flash against KoJJ. He knows he's got his number.
Yeah, and just the pressure keeps mounting here for TL. Jensen's working on that tier 2 in bottom lane. Bang does get the red buff, which is nice. But Brox is here. Golden Glue is potentially in trouble just in this 2v1. But his team's moving in. Zazel's trying to get some vision down. EG, you know, need to clear out some space in their own jungle, need to retake some territory. Attack is going to get the red buff now, and it's getting tricky.
Now, Team Liquid is going to just continue to hold this blue side jungle as long as it takes. And if they don't need to base, they won't, because it will set them up for the next dragon that will put them on that Infernal Soul, which is everything that they have wanted this game. 2 minutes for it, and now with Huni being assigned to the bottom side of the map, he's somewhat safer than the Orianna, but he's still going to get scooped and has to flash away from it.
Jensen may be wrapped up here, does have his own flash though, and Zazel does not follow in with the Glacial Fissure. Still the rest of EG coming in. KoJJ actually gets the Blast Plant, but here's the Magical Journey. KoJJ going to juke back around into it, but they're trying to find a kill here. TP in instead from Team Liquid, and they'll stay safe with the Sun Turret up.
Okay, so they get a TP out of Team Liquid. That's a pretty big deal now. That's going to force Team Liquid to be in more group before this fight. It's a minute 20 for the big honcho of a team fight. And now having to base from the rest of the squad, this is where EG can actually take the time to clear out the vision. They need to get every single ward here and make sure that Team Liquid doesn't know where they're coming from. That control ward that we just see where Impact is going through, that's where they have to make sure that they can clear out fairly soon, or else Team Liquid will still have a stranglehold in this blue side of the jungle.
Yeah, they've got a minute. They can go back, spend whatever gold they have, buy some more controllers if they need them, and start clearing out space for this objective. It's not going to be easy, but they do have to do their due diligence, do some administrative work around their own jungle. You can see just how dark it is, though, as the observers toggle that vision. There is nothing that EG can see past this river.
Well, they at least can see their own items that have been completed, which is the Leandries, the Seraph, which is pretty nice. You got the Mirror Mana and the Youmu's for Bang. So they actually are hitting some decent spikes, and hopefully Huni with his Sensor and Grail can do enough boosting for the rest of the squad. Broxite will just barely make it out. Now Azir's topside, so I think EG could actually rush this, as Jensen isn't TPing anytime soon, so he's not going to join before the fight. He's going to join after.
I feel like Azir TP is also like the stuff of the wrong kind of legend, where it's kind of like a GP TP. Like, yeah, you can do it, but Azir kind of needs time to set things up, you know, like be in position. So EG are going to start this dragon as expected. Impact was looking for the flank, though. But now, wrangling with the blue buff as EG are trying to find a pick before this happens. Jensen, though, has made his way down here, did teleport, but he's now in position to set up for this fight. Team Liquid, they will fight tooth and nail for this soul.
So EG pulls out because they're afraid of Roxa going for the steal. He was still on the rest side of the jungle thinking about that, and with the Mordekaiser wrapping around is a lot harder. They feel confident starting it now because Mordekaiser is missing, but the steal threat is still there, and Broxa stole quite a few last week.
Here it comes, Tempered Fate. Only finds 2, though, but it's 2 carries. There's the ulti out of Broxy, who's going in. He doesn't get the dragon, so Tia will be denied the soul, but Impact flashes in, scoops up 2 with the claw, and now EG going to have to try and fight their way out of it, but Sven's in the death room getting slapped by the mace. He's dead as Impact is going to pop out and say, surprise, it's time to fight the rest of us. As EG are kiting back in, a great Karma Shield. Impact is going to die. Nice shockwave there for Golden, who's going to catch one as Huni goes golden, but again, Core JJ finds the bind, and Jensen cleans house as Team Liquid are going to grab the ace. Huni is the only one left alive, and it's not for very much longer. It's Broxa that finishes it off.
And for losing a single member, you're happy if you lost that Infernal Dragon. You are capable of going to Baron right now, and you might be able to buy enough time to actually have Impact get it as well. Team Liquid is just so strong in these fights, and Bard is coming in huge this game. I think Core JJ is just having such a strong performance despite his carries, doing the best they can to outshine the counterparts in EG. But man, this Bard's binds and ultimates are just being so clutch. I don't think we've seen a Bard be this good in LCS.
I mean, even to me, just thinking about how mobile Core JJ was able to be in the early game is maybe even more impactful than how good he's also been in these team fights. But watch this one again. Lining up the Bud Light Ace, Core JJ kicks it off with the Tempered Fate.
So this is trying to just set up the Lee Sin to go for a steal, and Brox is really trying his darndest there, but just barely misses out on the smite. And then Impact's like, okay, I got an opportunity to go in here. I can hit that flash bind, but he knows he can just take out the jungler right away. Does his best to actually take him out, but then there's a Bard on the side, right? Just harassing, just being really annoying, and it all buys enough time for the Azir to just still be here. Now, I like what the Karma did to dodge out of the potential engage onto them, but you already have a Azir that is so fed hammering away at the rest of your team. It's just not going to look pretty.
Yeah, missed it the first time though, but that Fate's call setting up Core JJ was real nasty. The Tactical's definitely deserving some credit there as well. The Core JJ's double bind setup, but back into the game, we got a little under 2 minutes of Baron buff left, and Team Liquid are demolishing EG structures.
They can go and possibly end the game here, Pastry. They are that strong. They have a 10,000 gold lead. This is the kind of lead where you would really try to pull the trigger and see if you can execute on these dives and just end off a single Baron push. We know that the best teams in the world can do that right now. And when you have a Tempered Fate, which is on cooldown, but it obviously will be with the Baron still being available, you could just finish the game right here, right now. The items are there, the gold is there, and you'd almost feel bad if you weren't able to do it, because these players want to be able to accelerate the pace of the game to this speed. It's their goal. It's how they can know that they will compete internationally and stack up against the competition there.
Jensen is just so strong. You watch him in the top lane just smacking down turrets, and I mean, that's maybe the least of EG's problems. It's tough to say what the toughest thing to overcome is right now. It's safe to say, though, that Team Liquid are monstrously far ahead in this game. CoreJJ, you're so annoying. He's roaming back up to the top lane, threatening stuns. He's got the ulti ready to go. He's igniting people. He's winning lane.
He's not letting Svenskeren get away with these Hex Flashes. He's just following him the whole way through, and that is what is the most obnoxious for this jungler, knowing that you're not making a play without CoreJJ there being involved, and now doesn't even get to hit the stun. It's time for the dab, Core. That's definitely a dabbing penguin kind of move.
Yeah, Jet's going to finish off the top inhib tower as well. They're just losing everything at this point, or EG. And talk about marking plays, you know, in League of Legends, but also in sports in general. Usually it's like a one-to-one thing. I feel like CoreJJ is marking the entire enemy team with how frustrating and slippery he's being on this Bard. But EG going to have to pick their moment soon, Crumbs, because they're about to lose all of their structures. And Impact is just forcing Golden Glue to fight him, so they can't even 5v5 right now. His Impact has taken Orianna out of this fight. Oh goodness, that's just going to be a solo kill, looks like. Very nearly almost, as the exhaust is down. Stasis for Impact's going to keep him alive for a little while longer. Bang finally finishes him off, but the Fate Skull is primed and ready. TL, though, in a 5v4, going to have to be a little bit careful, perhaps. But Jensen is ready with the scoop. Sven is low. Golden Glue has returned, and 2 inhibs are already dead, Crumbs.
Well, at least they can stall the game out from ending right here. Oh, last minion, last minion.
Basil.
Oh, it lives. It lives.
All right, the cannon creep has been taken care of. The threat is dispatched. Team Liquid maybe considering staying around for that last hit on the inhibitor, but there's a dragon up in less than 10 seconds, and EG want to fight them. Jensen! That magical journey buffer was absurd. Flashing out there as well as the rest of EG were incoming, but CoreJJ once again saving lives here on the Bard.
Saving lives and just taking lives from EG. They are thinking about fighting for this Inferno. This is the last stand out of EG. There's a teleport on Impact if he maybe wants to try to backdoor, but they could just take a fight as well. They are so darn strong. 12k lead. He just TPs in. His ulti's available. He could just pick a member and take him out.
Not that many ults in general. There's one, though. Shockwave is going to force a flash and find Impact. Svenskeren dunk tactical back into Fate Skull in for CoreJJ. He's always got the Tempered Fate back up. Svenskeren is low, but he's not out just yet, but he needs to be alive to take this dragon. And Zazel, he's the one locked in the death realm right now, pulled back in as Impact finds a very nice claw, and Tactical just takes out Golden Glue as there is too much here for Team Liquid. They're going to grab the Infernal Soul. The rest of EG kind of need to leave before they die, as CoreJJ is diving back in. He's locking up Bang with Meeps. There's the pullback. Bang's going to be forced to flash away, and Tactical's in there. He's taking the magical journey. Nice and aggressive. Takes down Bang, and Jensen is looking to finish off the game in style as the rest of Team Liquid are patting the KDAs.
Jensen wants glory. He wants to be like Bjergsen, ending the game by himself, backdooring, but Svenskeren's going to stop him. He doesn't actually get to hit the stun, and he'll have to wait for the rest of the team to come back. It looks like the game still goes on, but not for much longer, as the rest of Team Liquid is just beelining straight in here. They want to be in that little end game picture. Finally gets to take out that top inhibitor, but they're just so far ahead. It doesn't matter how EG was going to fight around that dragon. You're up against a 12,000, now 14,000 gold lead. This is one of Team Liquid's most impressive performances.
Yeah, you know, we talk about structures being an important objective in League of Legends. Team Liquid have taken all but one. There's only the Nexus left for EG right now. Yes, their inhibitors will respawn in a couple of minutes, but this is a ridiculous lead that Team Liquid have managed to build, and we're just cresting the 30-minute mark now, Crumbs. So even with, you know, one of those Soul Drakes denied, still pretty quick, all things considered. Team Liquid just, you know, took the ball and ran all the way downfield with it. As now they're going to take this Baron as well. And there, it just isn't a way for EG to get in here.
Well, they're going to try, because either they do it now or you're just going to do it in your base. And you know you're going to lose at that point, too. So they actually don't go for it. They're just still farming away, trying to crash the waves. You got Orianna in the bot lane trying to farm, but Team Liquid's just trying to take all the objectives, just going for the extra laps here, trying to make sure that they've got everything that EG could possibly want.
You know, we talk about percentage plays, Crumbs, and neither percentage is good in this case, but I think this fight is higher of a chance to win than the Baron fight. They're both extremely low, but EG have to try something here. Bang is starting it off on an impact. He does slow him down, but at this point, the Super Minions, if any more waves start walking with this Baron buff, they're going to be enough to finish off the Nexus. Team Liquid will can just spectate if they want to, but they're not interested in spectating, Crumbs. They're interested in ending this game emphatically as Broxah diving in, kicks Golden Glue back. It's just insult to injury all game long as Tactical is able to take him down, and the rest of Team Liquid surge in as Tactical is going to nab himself to double kill. Huni locked up in a Tempered Fate. It's a race to get the KDA pumped up before the Nexus dies, but Team Liquid are going to take down EG in just barely under 32 minutes.
I think that seals it, Pastry, with TSM's game earlier today and Team Liquid's dominant performance. On top of the record, they are definitively our second best team in LCS. And with this game, I'm proud to say it too.
Yeah, Team Liquid, again, like, yes, they've had some games in the middle that were very long, despite how good their record looked. But they have picked it up since then. And, you know, EG, it's difficult to gauge exactly how strong they are with the new roster. You know, they knew they were taking risks against very strong opponents this weekend, playing 2 new players. But regardless, I think you cannot overlook just how well Team Liquid played. This is the clean, methodical style that has won 4 championships in a row, Crumbs. It feels like Team Liquid may very well be back.
Yeah, and who's back? On whose back was that in the early game? At least it was Core JJ roaming so much. But
goodness, what a game!
Yeah, just beautiful. But then the laning phases, how far ahead they got. Now it's hard to say. You know, it's Golden Glue's first game against Jensen, who's looking so good as well. So maybe we don't know how that stacks. Although usually when these two face off, it is still Jensen winning in a pretty significant fashion.
Yeah, it turns out Jensen's numbers looking pretty good regardless of the opponent. It's time for a quick break. On the other side, we hear from Tactical in the Verizon post-game interview. Don't miss it.
Verizon knows how to build unlimited right. You start with America's most awarded network, the one with unbeatable reliability 13 times in a row.
This network is one less thing I have to worry about.
Then you give people more plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need.
Verizon Unlimited plan is so reasonable, they could stay on for the rest of their lives.
You include the best in entertainment, and you offer it all starting at $35, because everyone deserves the best. This is Unlimited built right, only on Verizon.
Your Honda MVP.
Dreams aren't achieved overnight. They take passion.
It's Mr. World, right?
Dedication. And even then, there are no guarantees. But for the LCS, that's the power of dreams.
Too bad!
It means you never give up. It means you always play again. Honda, proud automotive partner of the LCS.
Welcome back, everybody, to Friday Night League. As we get ready for our Verizon post-game interview with Tactical, we're going to go ahead and start breaking down that game, because what a victory for Team Liquid it was, and it would not have been possible without the tremendous performance from Jensen in the mid lane.
He's been stepping up big time in recent weeks, and he continued a dominating performance today. If you look at his early game this game, it was the whole reason that they were able to take over. He was winning individual trades versus Golden Glue in this matchup. It is slightly a Azir favor, but he was crushing it super hard. This opens up roam potentials for his bot lane to come mid. You know, Sven Skaren can't even gank him here because he has such a health advantage that he would basically win a 2v1 even. And so this forces a recall off Golden Glue. When he TPs back in, he's also able to force the flash out of Golden Glue himself, you know, just with the threat of being able to use his ult to push him back in. So with that, then they combo it into jungle invades. And this whole thing gets him a monstrous CSD lead. It gets 3 kills them in the early game. Monstrous 4%. Like, Jensen is absolutely the engine for Team Liquid right now.
Yeah, and there's constant direction here. One thing Team Liquid, Broxah specifically has said that they wanted to be able to speed up the pace of the game. The way you do that is by finding new objectives to fight for. Red buff was the objective. They already knew that Orianna didn't have a flash off the prior play that you had mentioned. And then they knew that they were pressuring for red for the fight. Their intent was to take the fight, and they won it big off this one.
Yeah, and I think the funny part about this is you see Azir in draft, and you go, all right, this is a passive and slow game. That's exactly what I was thinking when I saw the first 3 picks in draft. I was like, Azir's not going to do much, right? But time and time again, Jensen Azir is the initiator for all these picks in the early mid game. And that's such a unique thing because our Azirs, usually in North America, are farm, and then late game you'll see the pop-off highlight reels. But never this early the way Jensen's playing it.
Yeah, with all that being said, we do want to revisit the draft due to a bug that had occurred before when remaking Champ Select. So, Raz, what was your take on how this was executed?
For me, the Azir was pretty key here because I like the idea, the intent that EG was trying to go for with their draft. When you see Kalista, you want to at least like try and isolate it, slow it down. You see a lot of anti-Kalista comps happening in the meta because you can like bait them to take the pick. My problem is the moment you see Azir, it's not an issue of Kalista anymore because, you know, even though you have Senna, Orianna, like you're no longer in a position of having that range, so you need another threat. My issue is when they went to 4-5, they went towards a Braum on 4 pick instead of going in towards Karma, because you can still go Senna Karma bot lane, and then you can take a stronger carry up top lane. Like a Camille would be a great example, and you can just say, okay, well, we're playing to split push or, you know, use our side lane pressure to get number advantage fights. In this case, they took a team fight comp, didn't have the range for a team fight versus Azir, and then didn't have the DPS, as you can already see. Like that was another issue, and didn't have this lockdown because it's really only Orianna ultimate and Set that can start fights. So it was really difficult to get back into the game when you were already behind.
It was also a thing where you have a bunch of little ideas that don't come together at all. As much as we praise the 100 Thieves draft for everything coming together, every version of this draft was missing something. Like, okay, you have this insane shield comp. It doesn't have any damage because there's no actual carry. You have Huni in the top lane, which you can kind of play around, but then he becomes a supportive champion with his build because he went for double support items, which is usually the better top Karma build, but you can go Luden's Death Cap and stuff like that. So it was one of those things where none of their comps actually worked together, especially against what they were playing into.
Yeah, and like a little thing that always bothers me is especially like looking at the early game, like how you want to approach it as a team. You have this Senna Braum bot, and you don't really want to fight around that. So you want to make the Karma big because Svenskaren's going top to make the Karma big. But the problem is like Karma is not the carry. So yeah, where's the damage going to come from in these later game team fights like we see in this Dragon fight?
Yeah, it's weird. It's, you know, supportive AD carry, supportive mid, supportive top. Set's not a carry jungler. And so you're just left with this team comp where this is actually an ideal fight where you're getting all these shields off, you're delaying, but they can't kill anyone. They can't even kill this Mordekaiser at the end of this entire fight after you ran into the middle of your team to solo out your jungler. So this team definitely had problems in the mid game, and it doesn't help that they fell behind the early game to Jensen and the Kalista. Even though they were kind of farming Impact a little bit in the top side, it wasn't nearly enough.
Yeah, with all of that being said, when we're looking at the lack of damage output on the side of EG, and Raz, you had mentioned the fact that Huni comes in instead without Jizuke on this roster. It feels like you needed a bit more from him in that top lane.
That's why when you go into 4-5, in my opinion, your top laner needs to be the most vocal one of what he wants out of his pick, right? especially when you're flexing a few options. So when I'm going into 4-5, Huni should, he knows what like kind of carry that, or at least what kind of pick that Impact wants. Going into 4-5, the 5th pick, he should find himself a carry, especially if his bot side is not going to be diveable off his Senna lane, and if he knows that mid is going to be supportive. So I think a lot of it came down the draft, and it didn't really help as the game went on through how far behind mid lane was.
Well, from the draft and on the Rift, ultimately it was a victory from Team Liquid. So with that, we do have our Verizon post-game interview at the ready.
Thank you very much, everyone. I am joined by Tactical of Team Liquid after they get their victory over Evil Geniuses. In Tactical, I have to ask you, a bit scrappy in these fights, but Team Liquid always had control. It looks like kind of putting aggression on the front of your mind has worked out for the team lately.
Yep. So that game, it just seemed like we're winning a lot of topside fights. So we're just snowballing off that part. And I was kind of just farming that game, not actually doing that much, just kind of doing my job.
Mm-hmm.
If my topside was winning, I was just going to farm. And that was my job. And then team fights happen. I just do my best.
Well, the positioning and everything was coming up huge. Now you guys are 9-2 here. We saw a bit of a clip as the day went on and before your game started about you talking and coming in being perfectionist, and Jat was kind of discussing how you played and the way that you grew yourself. But you mentioned something that I think is true as well, is that players after a while fall into this play style that almost can't be changed, right? It'll fit sometimes into a meta as it comes along and they look good again, but there's a play style that they do fall into. And my question to you is, you know, if that happens for everybody, how are you going to kind of prevent that, and how do you identify it as a player?
Yeah, so over a period of time, there will be certain things a player does that will bring them success or work out in the games. But over a long period of time, like a few years, the game's going to change. So you have to keep thinking about the game from an objective standpoint, where you just have to try to make the decisions that are best for the game, not just what you think is the best. And you have to keep thinking about it all the time, so that's how you stay as a top player.
And what do you kind of do to do the best? If you could point out a few things, are you always kind of watching your opponents so you can get in their head, watching other regions? What's on that list?
So I'm always trying to stay open-minded and trying to see what angles other players are looking for when I watch other games. Like, I'm always wondering why they're doing this, why they're doing that. Mm-hmm. And I think one good reason for now is that I'm open-minded, and I try to basically just think about everyone's decisions and their point of views.
Well, it seems to be advancing your playstyle quite fast from Academy to LCS and now on one of the top teams that we're seeing. My final question coming at you, you took to social media recently and you said that you wanted to take on all the AD carries in the league, that you were going to be the best. And you also tweeted at the FBI. We'll get to that. But what do you think makes you the best in that point? Why are you going to take everybody on? What's this for?
Yeah, so the tweet was not actually made by me. It was actually by Core when I left my computer open. So he took advantage of that. And he had, kind of just messed with it. But that is my goal, to be the best AD carry. But he just said it out there randomly and in a funny way. And yeah, that's basically it.
That's amazing. And no reply from the FBI, correct?
No reply.
Perfect. You probably take him out anyway. No worries, man. Congratulations. Thank you so much for rolling the punches and hanging out here to do the Verizon postgame interview.
No problem.
All right, we are going to throw it back to the analyst desk to continue to break down the rest of the day.
Turns out Core is a valuable veteran to have, not just as your laning partner, but in the ways of social media as well. Great interview there from Tactical. But nonetheless, of all the things that Team Liquid did well today, there is one thing that seemed to rise above all the rest, and that was their emote game. It was on point during this game, Mark.
I was very impressed. This is not the part that impressed me the most, though. I respect it. If you're going to go down and you fail a flash, you better have an emote ready to go. And I appreciate the crying sad kitten by... Oh, we didn't get to see it. There was a crying sad kitten by Impact there.
And I mean, when we talk about second place teams, this is how a second place team needs to perform. Their emote game, boom. You dodge an ult, you emote.
Yeah.
That's exactly how you need to play.
I literally have never seen that one before. That's a good one. Jensen bringing it out.
Oh, God. There was also the, right after that, Sven channeled a Hex Flash over a wall, and Core perfectly timed his Bard Q. So as soon as he gets over the wall, he gets stunned against it, and he threw the Penguin Dab emote at him. So all game long, I mean, TL was just on fire with their emotes.
Continuing to see it evolve, not just using emotes when you're in those victorious moments, but also in those moments of defeat. Props to them for elevating us in that part of the playing field. But nonetheless, when it comes to how everything is stacking up here in the LCS, Team Liquid are continuing to carve out this nice spot for them at the top of the standings as they sit in second at 9-2 now, closing that gap to Cloud9. And while TSM, they still make that distance even smaller, sitting in that third spot after their victory, and while 100 Thieves and EG will look to bounce back later in this week, continuing the hard fight.
We need another blue shell out there. Who is going to be the blue shell that slips up Cloud9 again?
Oh, man.
EG, FlyQuest, who's going to be?
Because then we're going to have to talk about, is Team Liquid the best team in North America? No, I don't want Cloud9 to tie their record. I want Cloud9 to stay ahead.
I mean, aside from, like, we're talking about records, right? So other records that we should be talking about are maybe the record of Mr. Miss the Mark, or maybe the record of Probably Wrong that Raz lovingly gave us those nicknames. I believe we were 2-0 on the day, and Raz, what was your predictions for today?
Oh, snap. Oh, no.
Oh,
what?
Wait a
I
second.
predict 100 Thieves?
I didn't make it public, so no one has to know.
Oh,
no,
I was relying on you,
Don't
Raz.
worry. It's screenshotted in our Discord. It is a lovely 100 Thieves and EG predictions, 0-2 for Raz on the desk.
Oh,
what am I supposed to do, man? What am I supposed to do, all right? You guys have been on the desk for weeks. I come out, I support my boy Grayson, and 100 Thieves, I'm like, all right, I like that Academy love. And then I've been wronged. That's not my fault.
See, you're just too biased. Anyone who has more Academy players, you're going to vote for them. Is that the theme I'm hearing right now?
1,000%.
All right.
1,000%.
All I know is, yeah, I was really relying on you, Raz. I wanted you to come and prove yourself. Let me down a little bit there. But as far as the LCS goes, it does return tomorrow with CLG and Dignitas taking on one another to start things off. Then Evil Geniuses try to pick up a win from Cloud9 with 2 more matches to wrap up your Saturday. Raz, here's your redemption moment with that match between Golden Guardians and Immortals, being that you are under the GG banner. Any nuggets you got for us?
Oh, except for a quick dub. I think Golden Guardians, all I'm saying, we're ramping up. We're getting close to that playoff mark. Whenever it gets late in the split, closer to playoffs, that's when you see the real GG come through.
You heard it here first, folks. But that's going to do it for us here on Friday Night League. We do return tomorrow for more LCS action. So on behalf of myself, the casters, and the entire remote broadcast crew, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. Until next time, good morning, afternoon, evening, and good night.